I lied. We're not good. No, we're good. Hi, everyone, and welcome back. For those of you who just missed it, we just went live, and everyone was like, "Are we good? Are we good? We're good. We're going live. Okay, we're going live." I'm Dom. I'm your DM for the day. I'm furiously flipping through my notebook to find the name of an NPC that is important that I will find eventually. And in the meanwhile, we're going to talk about Dungeons and Dragons. Hi, everybody. It's been a while. Is this our first game of the new year?
No, second, actually. I looked back.
It was very early, and then we didn't play again, and now we are playing again.
It has been a while.
We had one on the second or the third.
Yeah.
And
then on the 16th as well. 16th, 17th, whatever day that Sunday was.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Consistently erratic, I think, is a safe assumption.
Pretty much describes the whole campaign.
Why don't we go ahead and introduce everyone, and then we will start sprinting through some recaps, because I want to get into this. We've got some cool stuff coming. But to start us all off, Bryn, why don't you go ahead and tell us who you are.
Hello everyone, my name is Alishiera. I am playing Brynjael the Radiant, which is our good girl paladin. I'm a variety streamer, and I'm just happy to be playing D&D again, because it's a good time.
Yes. Well, I mean, presumably. Eminence, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hi everyone, I'm Nicole. I play Eminence. She is our bad girl tiefling warlock who thinks she's much more of a bad girl than she perhaps actually is, but I love her.
Well, she is kind of also actually a bad girl in the world.
She's a Billie Eilish bad guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, Oriana.
Hi, I'm Mel. I play Oriana, who is... Oh god, my voice is going away. That's great, that's perfect. Eminence's sister. Also kind of bad.
Mm-hmm. Every bad girl deserves another. Wait, that seems... No.
I
Aery.
ain't never seen two pretty bad girls.
Obviously, you haven't looked at the character art by CatRoulette.
Yeah, speaking of which, Aery also doing the character art, and it is awesome.
Hello! Yes, I do the character art. As you can see, Oriana's being hot on screen right now. But yes, and that's Aery. I play Aery, who's on screen. He is a bisexual disaster elf sorcerer. And I love him a lot.
I think it's pretty safe to say that we all love Aery at this point.
I hope so.
And Natalie. Yep. Mm-hmm.
So the problem I'm having right now, I will explain to chat before I tell you what's going on. Someone is mowing their lawn outside.
Oh, yeah.
So that's great. It's really fun.
Someone's mowing lawn in game.
It's really great. So I had everyone muted so that I could work out why my press to mute button wasn't working, but everyone can hear me in Discord anyway. It's fine. I'm BurrowsRed. I play Natalie, and I'm a person. I was going to say something self-deprecating, and I stopped myself. That is character development. Episode 15, we're getting there.
Also, fucking awesome hair, by the way.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Very stylish. Yes, where last we left off on our disaster party, they had navigated their way towards the center of the deep wood. The Chocolatiers were trying to figure out what exactly was causing the disturbance at the center of the deep wood. In the center, they found what seemed like a natural crater, a sort of natural bowl in the terrain at the heart of the hills and small mountains that populated the deep wood. And in the center of this area, they found an enormous oak tree. Next to it, they also found a small shack with a denizen whose name is not in this notebook. I have looked through it, but it is not in this notebook. Does anyone remember what her name is?
Oh, that's a good question.
Inspiration to whoever gets it.
Please, Burrows, our note taker, what's her name?
Oh, wait, hang on. Sorry, I got distracted for a hot minute because someone complimented my hair, and I was like, sorry, who were we looking for?
Who's the woman who lives in the shack?
The woman who lives in the shack.
Jana,
yeah.
Jana, there it is.
I knew
and
that.
Eminence, you get inspiration. Congratulations. You can re-roll any one dice, including an ally's or an enemy's.
Love that.
So cool.
Yes. Yes, Jana was an astronomer who essentially came to this location. During some of her astronomy, she saw what looked to be a meteor fall from the sky and traced it to this location and summarily showed it to the party. This piece of a stone that had come to rest up against the side of this enormous tree at the heart of the deep wood. The stone itself had some very strange effects. Touching the stone or getting close to it caused some sort of warping in strange and unpredictable ways that made interacting and moving it very, very difficult. The party investigated a little bit of Jana's inconsistencies and decided to investigate the stone a little bit more, whereupon the tree seemed to have opened up a gateway to the Shadowfell on the other side of the tree, sort of upside down, very similar to Stranger Things, whereupon they found that where the stone was pressing into a tree was some sort of corrupting agent, a small marble or something that was strangling this tree and causing it to act erratically. Through some heroic efforts of Natalie, they were able to free the tree from this contaminant, along with defending themselves from some strange red-capped gnome-like creatures of significantly more feral nature. One of the party members almost died, leading to a bit of a crisis of faith between the sisters Oriana and Eminence. However, they did recover and make their way back into the material plane, whereupon they decided to rest for the evening. And late at night, at about 3 or 4 in the morning, they heard some disturbances coming from Jana's shack, whereupon they set to investigate and found more of these red cap creatures pulling themselves up from the ground. The party were able to track them down stealthily for a little bit and found that these red-capped creatures were themselves putting the nails into the roots of the trees nearby, and very quickly defeated and dispatched them with some very impressive teamwork. And that is where we are going to pick up just hot after that battle. The red caps lay on the ground defeated before you. It is still very, very dark. It is nighttime. The sun is probably going to come up in about an hour. So if I remember correctly, you did not complete your full rest. But it was your intent to go back to rest and then speak to Jana at midday?
Technically, we had finished our long rest at the end of the last session.
Was it?
I actually just remembered that we were meant to talk about this beforehand, but that's fine.
Yes.
Because we did come back, because I had the weird interaction. I say weird. It was because Natalie was nervous. Interaction with Bryn about the health potion. So we did go back and finish it, but we did also find out that it wouldn't interrupt our long rest, that we would need to have another one. So if you feel like taking it from that point anyway, we can pretend that part didn't happen.
Sure. We could just pick it up and say that it is noon of the next day and that all of you have completed a long rest. And the day is yours. The spring sun is sort of sprinkling through the dappled leaves of the enormous tree above. You can see that the other white trees within this glade and clearing, the ones that have been unbolted by Bryn and Natalie, sort of had their nails removed. Some of them have actually come back, whereas previously when you would remove the nails, the trees would vanish as soon as they left visible sight. But now it seems as if there are a few more trees here in the area than there were when you first went to sleep. There is still that sort of almost like ethereal quality to the air where your voice seems to have this almost subtonal echo whenever you speak. But instead of feeling like it's like eyeballs on the back of your neck, it's strangely comforting and a little warm, almost like you're being embraced by the atmosphere of this location rather than observed. And every now and again, here at the heart of the deep wood, there is faintly the smell of mint leaves just passing by with a gentle breeze.
I have a particular fear, not even fear, an irrational anger towards mint leaves now, but continue.
I was gonna say Bryn's gonna, like, as she gets up, if she notices the trees that have come back, she's gonna go and like say good morning and welcome back to all the trees that have like returned to the space.
Absolutely. Do you want to make a nature check, or do you just want to walk up and say hi?
It would just be in Sylvan. I think it would more be if she noticed and was like, hang
Yeah.
on, that tree wasn't there last night.
I would say that it's a little more noticeably dense. It's not so much so that you're like, wow, there are so many more trees, but whereas previously there were 2 trees, there are now 3. Whereas you could walk in a straight line to Jana's, now you kind of have to curve around a new, like, sort of white oak, essentially.
Okay, she's gonna do like just a general then, because I don't think she'd probably specifically remember which tree was which, but just like a general, like do a lap and say good morning to all the trees and
Yeah,
the big
yeah,
one in the center, like the heart tree that
Absolutely.
was at the center.
Yeah. The trees do not respond because they are trees. However, again, you feel that sort of sense of like warm fulfillment. Like the way that I can liken it is, do you know when it's been like a really, really long time since you've been to your grandparents' house? And then you walk in the front door, and even if you don't see your grandparents or your family, you can still just like feel that like natural comfort.
Like wholesome vibes.
Yeah. Wholesome vibes. That's a good way of putting it. So it does feel wholesome.
I guess she'd go back and see if anyone else is like rousing and actually getting up. Because I'm assuming she would have like jumped up, like as soon as she was awake.
Okay.
She would have been like, "Oh, it's time to say good morning to the trees," and like has come back and like we'll start rousing people as she's back if they're not already up.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I imagine that the sound of you jumping up in your plate armor probably woke everyone else up.
Also, I'd imagine at some point we would have worked out like an innate like morning routine almost. Like, you know how like we got up the other day and you cooked like the displacer beast and stuff. I'd imagine there's like a kind of unspoken agreement of like things that we do in the morning.
We have acknowledged the title of the mums of the group.
Gotcha. Is there an implicit understanding that Eminence does not fold bedrolls or cook or anything, but just observes sleepily?
Eminence is currently a pile of blankets with just her horns peeking out the top. And that tends to be how she stays until she smells cooking in the morning.
Gotcha. I expect that also includes Oriana's blankets and perhaps even Aery's blanket after Aery has gotten up and walked away.
Oh yeah, she just somehow accumulates them throughout the morning. As they get up, they just pile higher and higher.
That's the other like just acknowledge like everyone does it, like as they get up. Well, time to drape my blanket over Eminence.
Yeah, pretty much.
My blankets go.
Aery would do very menial, not very helpful tasks, just like things that he thinks will make it look like he's doing something, or will kind of help, but without actually doing any work.
So instead of like actually closing up the bedrolls, just like moving them so they're all side by side, so that whoever does close them up has them all like in a row.
Like maybe like fold a blanket, but not like actually roll up or anything. Just like small things, like bringing over like a teapot or something, but not brewing the tea, and just like small things.
Absolutely. All of you slowly come to, you complete your morning ritual, you pack up your bedrolls and your blankets and you extricate them from Eminence. You also set up a nice pot of tea so that you can start the day with a full, warm belly of your remaining rations, well spiced by Bryn, but rations nonetheless, and a nice cup of tea. And you can also see at a glance that there is that single sort of white plume of smoke rising up from the other side of the heart tree, over by Jana's small cabin.
When are we going to be going and speaking with Jana this morning? Was that right? I guess we need to figure out what we're doing with this sky rock.
I would very much like to take a look at that garden of hers. With the
Yes, I
mushrooms.
would like to remove the mushrooms as well.
Oh god, she didn't feed us any mushrooms, did she?
No, I don't believe we've taken any food from her unless she brewed mushrooms in the tea.
I hope not.
I guess we start shuffling our way along to like the front garden bit that has all the mushrooms growing in it.
Yeah. In the light of day, as you come around the corner, you can see that there is some disturbances to the soil around sort of this patch of mushrooms, as if something had crawled out from in the ground underneath these mushrooms. And you also can see that the rest of sort of this small garden, and it is not well tended, it is not well maintained, it's really just, it happens to be directly outside of her tiny little shack, so she tends to it in whatever way she can. There are those sort of heavy booted footprints as well of the red caps, but the door is open to this tiny lean-to, and you actually do hear a little bit of humming coming from inside.
Were there any further mushrooms that were still growing, or were there no
There
more
are,
red
yes.
mushrooms?
Yes, there are still, there's probably 3 or 4 dozen of these mushrooms growing out of the dirt.
Do any seem like particularly more established than other ones, or are they kind of all just like a similar size, like grown?
They are variable. So there are some that seem to have been larger than others. There are some that are just small, little, like just the vertical bit and just like a little bit of red because they're only just now starting to sprout. But there are like some larger ones that are probably, I would say, yeah, like the size of this bottle cap. So they are like starting to get reasonably large. Yeah, fairly obviously, you can recognize that this is, amongst these mushrooms, is the location from where the creatures came up out of the ground.
Hmm.
I like to imagine that Eminence is leaning like over Brynjael, like breathing down the back of her neck. Just like trying to be involved, you know?
And I'm not particularly pleased with these mushrooms growing like this, but we should probably speak with Jana first. I mean, the red caps seem to come out at night time and during the day.
That sounds like a plan, I suppose. I don't
Aery,
think she's going to be of much use, but
Yeah?
can you make me a perception check, please?
Okay, let me blind myself with D&D Beyond.
Oh gosh, that is bright. Wow.
Yeah, it hurts. Perception? Can I roll perception in here?
Yeah.
No. Oh, yeah, I can. 26.
D&D Beyond. Did I close D&D Beyond? How foolish of me.
Oh, nat 2026.
Holy cow, yeah, nat 20. The shade of red of the caps of these mushrooms is identical. Like, not close, not next to, but the same as the shade of red of the caps that those creatures were wearing.
Aery's gonna step on one of the mushrooms. I almost replied as friend just then. Yeah. Gonna step on one of the mushrooms. I think perhaps these are our angry little friends.
Yes, it does seem like there's a direct correlation between the two. Should we just destroy all of them now then?
I think it's probably for the best. I mean, we can't stop them from growing back, but maybe we can hinder them for a while.
Yeah, on that, Bryn will start like ripping them out, like getting like under the mycelium, like if there's any that's produced under the mushrooms, and just like tearing the whole structure of the mushroom out.
Absolutely, yeah. I'll have you roll a nature check for me, and I'll let you do it with advantage. I think
Sure.
this is something that Bryn probably has some familiarity with.
She's so bad with nature, but yes, she should be good with it. Neither particularly good, but 10.
Yeah, even with a 10, you are able to sort of get down into the soil, and it is fairly loose soil here, and sort of pull the whole structure of the mushroom free. As you pull like the root of the mushroom from out of the dirt, you swear you hear almost like this tiny hissing, as if water is being steamed off of uh, an imperceptibly small surface. But that almost seems to spur your actions even further. And as you go from colony to colony, you're able to very quickly extricate these mushrooms from the ground, leaving a mess of the front of the garden. It is all just upturned soil and grass and leaves, but next to it, on what remained of the path that led to the lean-to, there is a small pile of these red crimson mushrooms. And even as you watch, they already seem to be shriveling in some strange way.
I don't believe our little friends particularly like the sunlight. Which is this spot like in? Like, because I know it's in a forest, so it's fairly dappled shade anyway, but it's not, it's like not in sunlight where it was.
It is not in sunlight. So because this is close to the center of the heart tree at the center of the deep wood, it is largely shaded. That said, even just being out of the soil seems to be sufficient.
I mean, they seem to be shriveling up, but potentially we should burn them as well. You know, really get rid of them.
I mean, we already have a fire going. We shouldn't burn them in her hut. That would probably be gross. If they're actually kind of like people.
That's true. I guess they take them over to the what's done with the morning cooking fire and just start chucking them on and burning them.
Aery will stand at a distance. So you expect them to smell
Aery
really
remote,
bad.
like as far from her as she can possibly.
Absolutely. So Aery, you're at a distance. Oriana, you're at a distance. Or sorry, Eminence, you're sort of at a distance. It's happening. Natalie and Oriana, are you going to also go with the rest of the party?
I'm gonna help. I have mowing friend outside, so I'm just.
That's totally.
How are they mowing their lawn?
I don't know, but they should stop.
Not that much lawn.
Actually, just a patch of dirt.
Probably.
Feel sad about it.
I mean, until they were thrown in the fire, because conversation moves quickly and my brain has just gone, I was going to get you to put them in a pile and I was going to magically set them on fire, but probably I don't think Oriana's particularly keen on sticking her hands in dirt this early in the morning.
Gotcha.
Well, early in the day.
Okay.
It's technically not morning, but they just woke up.
We just woke up this morning.
Okay, so
I think she'll supervise and make sure Jana doesn't come out and be like, my mushrooms!
excellent. So as you toss these mushrooms into the remains of your morning cook fire, it does take a moment where they are already like starting to shrivel and dry up a little bit. It does take a moment before they start to catch, but as they do, there are sort of like these acrid puffs that almost seem to release from the caps of the mushrooms as they one by one kind of like popcorn slowly release these puffs, and very quickly most of the puffs are disintegrated just by the radiation, the heat of the fire. However, Oriana, you briefly smell Eminence, because that's what I rolled. That's the third time in one session.
You're making up.
I know, yeah. Eminence, you smell quite suddenly, and the rest of you smell this as well. There is a breeze of mint that just blows past your faces, a little bit stronger than I think most of you have felt before, particularly here within the heart of the deep wood. However, one of these puffs kind of seems to drift up towards your face, and before you get a chance to react, kind of dusts across your face. Go ahead and make a Constitution saving throw for me.
Yikes.
Ooh.
Oh, that's nat 20.
Natural 20, fantastic. It kind of catches, and there's this brief moment where you kind of blink it out of your eyes in this little bit of panic, and then almost immediately off of the back of that panic of some unknown plant smoke getting into your eyes, you are filled with an alien and absolutely radiant rage and fury to cut and burn and slash, and then just as quickly as it comes on, you're like, wait, what the fuck? And you kind of cough, and it gets free from your system, and you still have you're kind of reeling a little bit just from the suddenness and violence of it, but just as quickly as it came, it disappeared.
I look down and realize that I'm holding my dagger in a shaking hand. And then just slowly resheath it and look around. Did anyone else notice that?
Were you trying to be stealthy, or were you just reacting in the moment?
Just reacting in the moment.
Aery, I know you have a high passive perception, so you probably saw it. And I think Oriana, you also have a high passive perception.
Oh no, my passive perception is not great.
Oh, no. Yeah. I'm just going through real quick. Yeah, I think Aery sees it, and Aery is the only person that sees it. So Aery, you kind of see a strange reaction from Eminence.
Sorry, I was muted. Yeah, Aery would just be looking at her kind of shocked and be like, Emmy, what are you doing?
I don't know.
Want to stab someone with that?
I think I breathed it.
Ew, the mushroom smoke?
The mushroom smoke.
Gross.
Yeah.
Do you feel okay now, or you
I feel fine.
angry?
It was just like a wave, and then it was gone again.
Maybe you should sit down.
Maybe I should sit down.
I'll get someone to make some tea and I'll bring it to you.
Okay. She'll just kind of plop down cross-legged in front of the fire.
I imagine the teapot is still next to the fire from where you made breakfast.
Oh
tea.
no.
I think probably would have been Bryn would have cleared around the area, because she already had for any fire, because of all the leaf litter and stuff, she'd quite significantly cleared the area around the fire so that the leaves and stuff didn't catch.
That's fine. That makes sense.
But I don't know if there'd be any tea left. They might have to make a new one if everyone had a cup of tea.
You remember Jonna usually has something brewing?
Oh my god, it's finally stopped mowing. Let's go in to say hello, shall we?
Yes, I'm all done with this. So I that went well. They seem to be all burnt up. They didn't leave any weird residue or anything.
No, nothing. I'll just kind of stand up and follow everyone if we're heading towards Jana's thing.
Aery will pick up someone's blanket and put it around her shoulders. Walk with her.
Oh, she got a shock blanket.
There's probably going to be one bird at the top of the tree above you guys that's I need to kill something.
Blazed out of his mind, but angry about it.
Bad trip.
Yeah, the lean-to is identical to what it was. You still hear that sort of humming from inside.
I
Ready?
assume we go in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bryn will follow the lead of whoever is going in. Was there anyone that had an invested interest? I guess Emmy was the one that had been rifling through her stuff, but was there someone that had like vocalized a particular interest in talking to her again? Like regarding the contract and stuff. We'd had discussion about it previously.
Emmy was pretty interested in talking to her earlier, just because she still thinks that she's very sus.
Hmm.
But she's a little zoned out at the moment, so she'll probably just be following along with whatever everyone else is doing.
Bryn will lead the way then if Emmy's like hesitating at the door. Like knock on the door frame.
Natalie is entirely there mainly for muscle purposes, not for talking purposes. Also
Just
because
flexing.
someone has decided to start using a whippersnipper, so I'm crying over here. It's fine.
Just silently flexing in the background.
Yeah.
So it was Bryn and Emmy and Aery?
So,
Yes.
if we cannot
Okay.
fit in the tiny hut.
It was cozy with 2. With 3, it is very snug. And Bryn, I expect that you just kind of stand in the doorway and realize even that's a bit much. So you probably like take a step back out of the doorway just to give like that illusion of more space.
Yeah, because she's in full armor. She's like, I am a bulkier individual than most.
Yes. You see Jana looks simultaneously both tired and well rested. She does have a small teapot on, and that is where the smoke is kind of coming from. The pot is set just next to the fire, ready at a moment's notice to be heated up. Most of the piles of paper that she created trying to write this letter have been cleared away, and you can see that there's a lot of scraps of paper at the base of this fire. However, on her small sort of like little work desk, you can see that there is a single letter in the center of it, folded and pressed nicely and neatly with a little name written across the top of it, sort of just this clean rectangular letter. And you also see that some of the paraphernalia around this lean-to have been packed away. The herbs and spices are no longer above the small mantle. Some of the clothes have been folded and placed into small bags. You get the sense that Jana is preparing to leave. And as you walk in, she's kind of humming to herself and stops and, oh, good morning, afternoon, good day.
Good
Good
day.
afternoon.
How are you doing? Are you okay?
I feel a little bit more clear. It's the
That's
sorry.
nice.
I apologize for my demeanor yesterday when I met you. I went to sleep last night and had initially a very rough night's sleep filled with these horrible, violent nightmares, but afterward, everything was clear for the first time in a long time, and I slept very well. I actually only just woke up an hour or 2 ago. Yes, so I have the letter for a rough contract. If you would like to pass this on to your superior?
Oh, this is for the rock? Yes, I can take that. We can send it
Yes.
over to them. I think we can send this, but we'll figure it out. It will be totally fine.
Absolutely. I also realize that as much as I would love to stay with the stone, I haven't seen my family in months, and I think it's probably a good idea to go back to them, at least for a little bit, before continuing my investigation into this.
Yes, this is incredibly good development. I don't think you would have said this at all yesterday. You had such a weird relationship with this rock, but this is very healthy. I think perhaps it is best if you see your family.
I still feel cloudy in my brain, but I think you're right. I don't know what you did yesterday, but something is different today, and I wanted to say thank you.
You're very welcome.
You're welcome.
Yes.
How are you going to be getting back home? We were unable to locate your horse for you yesterday.
Yes, I was honestly thinking of just going and walking. The horse made travel a little easier, but the cart is in no condition, and I haven't seen the horse in weeks, so I'm self-sufficient. I can find some food, and I still have some perhaps older rations, but they'll do. At least until I get to the south of the deep wood and I'm able to find more regular food. I think I would trust that wherever this rock reaches its destination, that whoever keeps hold of it understands this letter to its extent and shares the information about this rock with me. I've left a way to contact me in the letter, so it's not something that has to be immediate, but I do still want to know more about it.
That's fair. We'll endeavour to keep you involved. Speaking of your letters,
Yes.
would you mind terribly if we kept with the rock the diaries that you'd been keeping on it? I think it would be of great value to whoever investigates it further.
Make a persuasion check.
I think I'm persuasive. Everyone thinks they're persuasive. 10.
10. I suppose there are some of my personal musings within my journals, so I'm not terrifically comfortable sharing them with someone else who might endeavor to follow up on this.
Why would your musings make anyone uncomfortable? Are they uncomfortable by nature?
She turns around and grabs the journal that's currently on the top of the stack and pulls it open and flips through a couple of pages and kind of grimaces and then flips to another page. Yes. Thursday, 4:32 p.m. I saw a bird today. It was brown. Flips over a few pages. Monday, 10:07 a.m. I had those weird dreams again. Flips through another few pages. It's cold. Flips through another page. The rock hasn't moved. Kind of closes it. This is it feels a bit personal.
Did you have
Whereas
a personal attachment to that bird?
To the bird, no. But I think I did, and I still do have some small attachment to the rock. But for example, and she reaches sort of towards the bottom of the stack and kind of pulls one free and flips it open. And almost immediately, you can see that the handwriting within this journal, even without being able to read what it says upside down, is crisper and cleaner and in significant more detail. There are small sketches and diagrams. You can see rough sketchings of the sky and stars and astral charts. And as she flips through a couple of pages, you can see that there are also multiple sketches and drawings of the rock against the base of the tree that are fairly accurate. They appear to be very impressive recreations of what she saw with sort of like loose measurements. And she just kind of holds it up as a comparison. This was my notebook when I first arrived, and contains... Aery, I think you tried to bring this up to me yesterday. They are different in how I sort of thought about things.
That's not
And
very surprising.
I understand that it is important that if someone else wants to study this, they should have insight into what happened to me, but I don't like being a test subject for someone else.
Do you think that you could just write about your experience that you've already had?
I
And
think
that
that's
in
possible.
itself is very valuable.
I don't think I have the capacity to trust myself to do that just yet. I'm still
Well, that is
No
very
rush. You
insightful
can
of you.
take your time.
I'm still very foggy. But here's an idea. And she sort of grabs the stack of 7 or 8 journals and kind of sets it on the table next to the letter. You can take them, but
Are you sure you don't want any of your research? Isn't this important to you as well?
It's very important to the rock area. We'd love to take it so much.
if you find any personal information within the context of these journals, I would ask that you try to protect my meanness.
Oh, your identity? You don't want them to know that it was you? But don't you want to come to visit the rock? They'll know
I
it's you
do,
then.
yes, eventually, and I will take ownership of it at that time, but I think that right now
Okay. I just want to make sure your name is on this contract, right? That you want us to give to them with the rock,
yes,
with the books that you wrote
yes.
that have. You don't want them to know that you wrote the book, but you want them to know that you wrote the contract,
I
right?
I'm
understand.
sure we can arrange something, Aery.
You can see that sort of pointing that out to her, Aery. She is getting uncomfortable, and you can kind of see like a little bit of like that sort of cloudiness come back to her demeanor a little bit.
Okay, it's okay. It's okay. We look after you. Maybe we won't give them the books. We will maybe read the books ourselves. To see if there's anything useful in your journals, and then when you come to visit the rock, we can give them back to you. And if you think there's anything that we should know in there, or that the organization should know, then you can give the books back to them again.
Okay, that sounds reasonable. That sounds very nice. Thank you. I appreciate that.
It's okay.
Yes.
But you still want us to give the rock contract to them when we give them the rock, right? So you can come and see it?
Yes.
Okay.
Eminence is
Yes.
already packing the books into her.
Like a travel bag.
Yeah, she's got a tote bag. It says "Live, Love,
Absolutely.
Love" on it.
Over the shoulder. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like to imagine that underneath the flap it says keep calm and tiefling on or something.
Thanks, I hate it.
Yes, so I will pack up my things here, and when I'm ready, I will move on. What is your plan for the rest of you?
We have an acquaintance who we believe could offer some insight. I think our next stop will be to visit them.
Okay. That sounds good.
And of course, we have your contact information. If we
Yes,
if we
yes.
find anything relevant, we'll get in touch.
That seems like a good idea. Is there anything I can do to help? Do you need me to carry it or move it or pull a rope or something?
Speaking of that, I remember us trying to move that thing with a rope,
Yeah.
and I'm blanking on exactly what we managed.
So several of you used Mage Hand to carry like a lasso over the rope, and then drop it on, and then you kind of like pulled it away from the tree. I think someone's Mage Hand didn't succeed, and in addition, after you had pulled it free, some of you pulling on the rope also encountered strange distortions in your strength and your magic.
We also the wagon was fine. It's the horse that was not, because it wasn't there. Because we talked about
Arden, pulling the cart.
Right, perfect. So the rock's all set up to go.
It's not quite on the wagon yet, but I imagine
No.
you could manage that.
I believe that we should be fine without your assistance with the rock. We'll get it to a safe location and we'll inform you as to where that is once we have it there.
Yes, best for you to not worry about it. Go see your family, have a bath probably, or something to get clean for maybe the first time in a long time. Brush your hair. You'll feel so much better.
Yes, I think that's a good idea. Yes. Okay then. Yes, I'm going to keep getting ready. I'll be here at least for a little while longer. Feel free to let me know if you need anything or want anything.
I did have a question. Now that you're seeming to get a bit of a better recollection of yourself while you've been here, do you remember the mushrooms that were growing in the front yard?
Yes. Yes.
Do you recall anything in particular about them?
They are very red.
Did you consume anything, like any of them, or did you
Oh.
disturb them in any way?
Honestly, the color was a bit off-putting, and I thought it might be a bit dangerous to try and eat something so bright and colorful. I think they did attract some animals nearby. Every few days, I would wake up and go outside and see that the dirt around them had been significantly disturbed, as if it had been dug up or something. So maybe it has something to do with the local wildlife.
That does make sense. We've removed them because of previous experiences with something similar.
Oh, okay. Do you know what they are?
They are poisonous, like you were saying, I believe. We have burnt them. They were not good.
Oh.
That is enough that we can ascertain from them.
That seems quite extreme. I didn't realize that they were that dangerous. Now I think I'm a little worried for the whatever animals dug them up and tried to eat them. But I'm sure it's all going to be fine. Nature takes care of itself.
Might I recommend on your way out as well, if you see trees that are nailed down, if there's any that you can remove, that would be beneficial if you can do so. Obviously, it's a bit
Yes.
of an arduous task, but if you can do any of them, that would be good.
Yeah, I noticed this morning my hammer seems to be missing.
Yes, you did give that to us.
Yes. That makes sense. I will probably have a difficult time removing these nails without the hammer.
Hmm.
We could
We would
take
probably.
the day and
Yes, well, we're getting stuff organized. Probably better if Natalie or I are the ones doing it than we've already done quite a lot of them.
yes,
Unless
that
you're
makes-
proficient at like physical exertion and activities and wanted to do it, like we're happy to do it though.
I'm afraid not. I went into academia because I was not very physical.
We'll leave it with Natalie and I then. It was just a thought. There's a lot of trees that are still nailed down.
Excellent. Okay, I can do that. Are you sure there's nothing I can do to help aside from trying to get these nails out? I feel a bit useless right now.
It's fine. We came here on our own volition, so we are happy to assist. You don't need to feel guilty about not assisting further.
Besides,
Okay.
you have plenty to do to pack up this little home of yours. We shouldn't. We
Yes.
won't keep you
Yes.
busy any longer.
I do have a lot to do. Okay then.
Eminence
Maybe
is
just a
already
cup of
out the
tea.
door.
Oh well, all right. There you
She's gone.
go.
Yes,
Aery,
Bryn. Yeah, Bryn was already kind of half out because she was in the doorway, so she'll follow, like she'll kind of step back out so that Eminence can get out, so she'll just head out.
As soon
Aery?
as Rin and I are out of earshot of Jana, I'd like to just start whispering to her. So we're really just going to let her go, are we?
Yes, she didn't seem like she was herself, so I don't see a reason why not to.
Well, that's exactly it. She's not. This is interesting. Whatever this rock is doing, it's done it to her, and the further she stays away from it, the better she gets. Whatever window we have to see what is happening here, the further away she moves, the less we learn from her.
Are you wanting to use her as like a guinea pig for her own interest, or I'm not quite.
What's a guinea pig?
That's a small rodent. Medium-sized rodent. I don't know. The phrase just came to me in a vivid dream.
I mean, I wouldn't call her a rodent, but
Well, I mean, we know that she seems to improve. The effects of the rock lessened after Natalie destroyed the heart on the Shadowfell side. And then potentially as well, you could put two and two together when we killed those red caps last night. Potentially that also positively affected her. We have a lot of variables here. I don't know if it's just the rock, but we do know that the distance from the rock would help. I mean, touching it was not a good time yesterday. I mean, I wasn't even directly touching it. I was holding the rope, and it felt like it was really throwing me off in some way. And to see Oriana's mage hand not be able to continue operating was concerning. So, I mean, you can.
Did it make you feel angry?
No, I was a bit confused as to why my muscles seemed to not act how they usually did, but that's not enough to cause frustration.
Anyway. I just think she's an asset, or she could be an asset. We don't know if she's an asset. To just let her walk away seems short-sighted.
Well, I mean, you can also go to the company office if you'd like.
Perhaps we should see what the others have to say.
Yeah, yes, that's probably a good idea, putting it to everyone.
Yeah. So I believe Natalie, Oriana, and Aery, you're not too far off from the front of this shack. Is there
Sorry, what did you say?
anything that the three of you would like to do? Is there anything that the three of you would like to do while Bryn and Emmy are sort of having this conversation?
No, probably not really.
Depending on who has the contract that she wrote up, I would like to look at it to see whether or not she just wrote down pure nonsense. But I don't know if Bryn or Emmy took that with them.
I imagine that was Emmy because you took the journals and the contract was right next to it.
Yeah, I probably would have just piled the contract in there, so...
In which
Yeah.
case, I'll wait to look to see if it's nonsense until we all catch back up.
Sure. Which is now. Bryn and Emmy walk over.
Hey, what's up?
We
So-
ready to get going? We have a long way back.
Well, Brynjael and I were just discussing the possibility that encouraging Jana to leave might not be the best course of action.
What do you mean she wants to leave? Shouldn't we let her leave?
Well, I know she wants to leave, but she's been close to this thing for so long, and it was clearly affecting her. I mean, we can see in her diaries what was happening to her, and whatever was happening is fading. If we're to learn anything from it, then perhaps it's best not to let it fade.
You're suggesting
It's
that we
good
keep
that
her
it fades.
and the rock close to each other so that the scientists can observe the effects.
Yes, for science.
I think that's a great idea.
She tries not to preen and fails.
I mean, if she's willing to go along with it, I feel like this poor woman has probably gone through enough. I don't want to cause additional stresses to her is the only thing.
Well, she
If
didn't
get-
seem particularly stressed. She liked the rock.
Yeah, but it was definitely fucking with her in a bad way.
I don't
could
know
tell.
about anyone else, but I know that I didn't feel as rested as I usually do this morning.
Also, it's possible that this isn't really our business at all, to research the rock. We didn't come here for this. We just were supposed to find out what happened to the king. I don't know if we should really go out of our way to subject this poor woman who has already gone through so much to more pain when it isn't even necessarily going to help us at all. Like, we can tell them what happened to her, but I don't really want to put her through more than she already has been through.
I don't get the impression that she was in pain.
It's
What's
not good.
happening?
Look at her. She's a mess. Not
Yes,
all
I
pain
know.
is physical, Oriana.
She's
She's
a happy mess.
scientist.
She seems
She would
happy.
understand.
She does not seem happy to me.
I think she was intending on going the opposite direction as us. So that is another point. Her constitution, like, she does seem frail. She doesn't seem, although she has more mental clarity today, she didn't seem like she was necessarily well and fit.
Oh, yes, precisely. Who's to say she wouldn't die on the trail? Really, we'd be doing her a favor.
By making her go the opposite way, so all in all, her round trip to get back home is longer?
Well, we could keep an eye on her.
I just don't see the purpose of this, Emmy. Like, what do we achieve other than knowing that it makes her feel really sick.
Look, if you think we've learned all that we can learn, that's fine. I'm just saying it's not a decision that we can ever take back if we did need to know anything else.
That's okay. We can make someone else hang out with the rock until it makes them crazy. If we really have to.
Well, all right, but I'm taking that as you volunteering.
No, thank you. I don't want to hang out with the rock. I have better things to do.
Yes, I would like to, depending on our course of action as well, while we are remaining here, I was wanting to attend to more of the trees if we can to pull the nails out. I don't know if anyone else noticed, but it looks like a lot of them have come back.
That's good. How much longer do we have to stay here to pull out all these nails? Though I want to go back to the inn. I have a bed.
Yeah, like we'd only have rations for so long. It's just if we can do a few more, and then when we get back to the town, potentially send someone else to come in and finish removing them all.
Yes, outsourcing. I like that.
Oh, yes.
I think it could be a good idea to maybe tell. I was about to say the crown, but that's not exactly right. Silence and such about this. We need to report back about what happened with the forest anyway. He may be able to get some people out here to help past what we can do now.
Yes, and I'm sure Satine, if we are going back to the graveyard to drop this rock, if we're going back to the Garden of Statues, she seemed to have more of a connection with the not the usual crowd that you would find in the city as well. There may be denizens of the forest that she is in contact with that would actively want to be helping the recovery as well of the forest.
Absolutely. I think also, there is maybe, 3 of us that could manage to get these out. If we go and get some help, we could possibly get more. And the sooner we leave to do that, the sooner we can get some more people here.
I was just looking through my notes and I haven't written this down. The letter that we sent to our employers, whose name I've forgotten because I also never wrote that down. What did we say in it? Did we already request help to move the rock?
No, we asked if they had an active interest in the rock, and we reported our findings while we were, because our mission wasn't about the rock from them.
No.
We said, hey, we've found this out as we're trying to complete our mission. Is this something of important interest? Did you want to study the rock personally?
Because I think our main logic was also that we wanted to see if it did end up being related, that we had reported everything as well.
Right.
Not that we thought it was related, just...
Yeah.
I think we even reported that we were heading back to the statue forest.
We did.
Yeah, so they know where we're heading with the rock once they receive the message.
Yes, we probably should have asked him how long it takes for a message to arrive to him, because we don't know the window of turnaround that we should be expecting with this.
That's a lot of things that in hindsight we're probably should have done that, would have made our lives significantly easier, but we didn't.
I mean, it took us, 2 weeks to get here? So,
But it's magic.
Birds are fast, though, especially magical paper birds.
True, but then you're probably looking at a week? Oh. Surely that would be fine.
To get to, sorry, just I think it
magic.
took us 3 days to get to the center of the forest, didn't it? I don't think we've been on the road.
No, 2 weeks from where they had their camp set up when we left them. So that took us 2 weeks to get to the city, and then at Valter,
3 days out of Valter, and then we were just under 2 weeks away from Goldfield. Was it that we
Goldford?
From?
Goldford.
My American pronunciation.
Ford. Gotta get the ers.
Goldford. Get that nice.
Not Goldford.
Hard R. Yeah. Yes. You could get a letter today. You could get a letter tomorrow.
We don't know. Yes, irrespective, what are we doing with that day today? Should we load this rock onto the car?
I think that makes
Well,
sense.
it's not going anywhere if we don't.
Mm.
Plus, it's not like we have, a safe haven here necessarily more so than any further into the forest, so it's not going to matter if we need to camp out in the forest in the middle of the night to continue on tomorrow. May as well really
Yes,
keep going.
I'd like to keep an eye out for treants, like, if we can, because we did see some on the way in, and hopefully they're all feeling a little bit better as we've addressed what was going on with this tree. And she, like, points to, like, the giant central tree.
Well, we were told that they were kind of guardians, right? We should expect it that that's more that's come back.
Hopefully. I mean, if the
So
trees are
hopefully
coming
they
back,
don't hold a grudge.
Yeah.
yeah,
If
that was
anything, they
bad.
should be grateful.
I mean, we did kill one.
In self-defense.
It was attacking us, and it was unwell. Also, I have mentioned on multiple occasions, if anyone needs to take the blame for that, I was the one that cut it down.
I appreciate that, and I know that you're happy to put your neck on the line for us, but we are kind of like a group, so I don't think that one person could take the blame anyway, and we wouldn't let you do that, Natalie.
I
We
understand.
friends.
I get that. I completely, totally, and utterly respect that. However, if I get drawn into some weird kind of duel situation, it's me, okay?
No, it's not you. We won't let it happen.
Alright, well, shall we, while we're discussing, shall we try and get this stupid skyrock on the cart?
Do we have a plan for how to not touch the weird skyrock?
No.
What if we made another loop, but we put it over a tree branch and we lift it up, and then we put the cart underneath, and then we just put it down?
I
My
mean,
little servant could help.
have we tried also just putting a cloak on it?
Did we? So when we
Dimension.
Wait,
yeah, I think
is your solution throw a little blanket over it and hope that the magic doesn't come through?
Yeah.
Make people sick to go near it, though.
Yeah, I think we. Sorry,
I don't
did
think
we? Was it when we touched the rope? As soon as we touched the rope, we could feel the effect, like secondhand through the rope, or was it just as soon as we started to exert ourselves, like, and try and pull the rock, that we were affected?
It was when you touched the rope.
I don't think that will fix it, unfortunately.
But, okay, so my logic is, right, it's kind of like when you're lifting a really heavy weight. You're really uncomfortable in the moment, but it's a lot quicker than tying a rope around a tree and doing it very, very slowly when you can just go, whoop.
Oh, like hot potato.
Yeah.
You grab it and then you like throw it between the people and hope that it doesn't make you feel real shit real quick.
I mean, yeah, one of us might pass out or something, but like hot potato but hot rock.
Hey, I'm willing to give it a try. What's the worst that could happen? Like instant death? Unlikely.
Yep. That's it.
Bruce starts striding towards the car to get the car
Enough with that.
rolled over.
We could have definitely tried the long approach. I'm very much into a, let's get this done kind of thing, It's fine. Yeah. Let's do this.
Yeah, Bryn will start, like, rolling the car, like, towards the rock.
Okay. Yeah, so you head back around over towards the cart. I imagine the rest of the party comes as well. There are some leaves and there's like a little layer of dust on the sort of, again, four-wheeled cart. And as you kind of move it, the gears do kind of catch for a little bit, but with a quick shove, they loosen and it starts to roll and make its way over towards the rock. And next thing you know, you have it wheeled up right next to it.
Alright. Natalie, are we doing like a one person on each side and then...
Let's maybe one of us touch it first. Just touch it, just like, you know, like when you're pulling something out of an oven, like
Bryn touches the rock.
slap.
Okay. Make a Constitution saving throw for me.
Con, where are you?
If I kill Bryn, I'm gonna be very sad.
Saves. It's okay, she gets a +3 on her saves.
Nice.
23.
23. Do you like touch and hold, or do you touch and pull off?
She's like one finger like pokes it. And it's like
Poke?
touching it. Yeah.
Smack it.
Yeah,
Oh shit, can
you
we
touch?
Is that with the blanket on? We did talk about the blanket.
No, you said we should touch it.
Okay,
Touch
sure,
it. She
alright,
doesn't
yep.
like
Brings to touch it. Yeah, you touch the rock. It feels a little cool underneath your finger. And then the wave of nausea just kind of rolls over you, and you have a brief moment where you have to steady yourself as you realize your vision is kind of starting to swim. Yeah, that's what you get with a 23.
It does make you feel like a piece of shit, but she takes her hand away. Does it go away when she like removes it?
Like 90% of it goes away.
It makes you feel like a piece of shit, and I still kind of feel like a little bit shit, but not as shit.
But we're gonna feel like this if we do it with a rope anyway, right? So
Did the letting go of the rope, did we still feel bad after the rope
You
with
did not.
indirect? This is like a little bit more shit than when we had the rope.
I want to put a cloak on it. I'm gonna do the same. I'm gonna put like a thing on it, and I'm gonna touch it that way.
Okay, make a Constitution saving throw.
Okay, where is
And-
my thing?
Add 3 because you're standing within 10 feet of Bryn.
Okay, that is not a good roll. It's not calculated it yet, but that's not good even with a 3.
And it looks like a 10.
Like as in adding a 3. That's what I meant.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with a 10, you throw the cloak over it. You hand out finger. What do you?
Oh, like, you know, I'm doing what Bryn did. Just
Finger holding for a sec, pulling away. It's very similar to what Bryn experienced. You can kind of feel a little bit of the coolness of the solid stone underneath the blanket, and then almost kind of like a warbling wave of nausea builds up within you. You also feel your vision swim a little bit, and with that failure, you actually, your sense of self temporarily kind of wavers, as if your very identity, your very thought just kind of shakes a little bit within your mind, and it stabilizes, and you realize that immediately you kind of recoil and pull your finger back away. But everyone else, you can visibly see that Natalie is much more affected by the rock than Bryn. In addition, you take 1 point of exhaustion.
Ooh. Where's the rope? We're using the rope.
The little blanket didn't work.
Oriana, this is not the time.
Oriana, did you want to touch the rock and see how it makes you
Absolutely
feel?
not.
Alright.
Oh.
I suggest an alternative.
Yeah. Totally.
Eminence pulls out her little dolly that she got from Natalie and whispers to it. And I'm assuming her unseen servant pops into existence. Not that anyone can see him.
Yeah, you
Did
pull
you
out what
pull
just
it out
looks to me
openly?
like an invisible ball.
Yeah, everyone's seen her little dolly.
Okay, I'm just checking.
I thought usually she was kind of secretive about
Yeah.
it, wasn't she?
Ooh, maybe she was.
I
what
think
is
it's
that
the
shit?
first time the rest of you has seen it, except for Oriana, who has noticed her trying not to show other people.
Oh, is this the one that Natalie made for you?
Mhm.
I think we made together. Like, didn't I
Yeah.
teach you how to
Yeah,
make
you taught me
that?
how to
Yeah.
make it. Okay, well let's wreck on that and say that the rock is getting to her head too, and she completely forgot that she's been hiding it from people. But yes, would lift the rock into the crate, please.
Unseen Servant is the spell.
Yeah, I think it has the strength of a human. Can do pretty much what a human can do.
Has a strength of 2.
2. Wait, strength
Not
score?
big strong boy.
Or
Strength score of 2.
Oh.
Like a cube is awesome. Just
Why don't we
absolutely.
use this to lift things all the time? Oh, that's
Yes. So you pull it out, and the rest of you, nothing kind of happens as Eminence does this spell. And then a moment later, you see that next to Eminence, like an invisible outline of air kind of seems to shimmer like a humanoid, like head shape, body shape, arms, no legs, just kind of slowly shimmers for a moment and seems to just glide over to the rock. Go ahead and roll an Arcana check for me, Eminence.
Okay. 16.
16. Okay. As it gets close to the rock, you can see that it kind of seems to waver a little bit as it gets closer. And as it reaches down and kind of puts its hands on the side of the rock, for just like the briefest instant, all of you can see, like, have you ever seen almost like iridescent film? For the briefest moment, instead of being transparent, it's as if the light can suddenly reflect off of its physicality, and then almost immediately it goes back to invisible again, and you just had this super brief iridescent glimpse of this humanoid trying to pick up the rock and not succeeding. It is too heavy for this thing.
Well, maybe
Perhaps
if
someone-
you had like if the two of you, and Bryn points to Aery and Oriana, used Mage Hand at the same time.
Oh yeah, maybe all together we
Like
could
the
do it.
3 all together, and I can help because I didn't feel that bad touching the rock.
I'll sit
I
this
can
one
do
out.
that.
Yeah, that's fine.
You've done so much, Natalie. It's okay. You take a break.
At the moment, she's just like hands on her knees, like staring at the ground, like, oh god.
Braced. All right. Yeah, Aery will cast Mage Hand and try and help pick up the rock.
All right,
Okay.
on 3.
yeah. I'll also cast Mage Hand.
Can I get Arcana checks from Aery and Ori? And Bryn, what are you doing to help?
Bryn is gonna lift. Like she'll
Oh, you're
also,
actually gonna like
yeah,
grab it and pick it up.
yeah.
Okay.
That
And
is-
from
Oh, 23.
First roll with these new dice, and it's a 20. So these are my favorite.
Fuck yeah.
nice.
So it's a-
With the two mage hands, a very similar thing sort of happens where this invisible hand, once it touches the rock, it kind of shimmers iridescently before going back invisible once again. Bryn, can I get another Constitution saving throw as you touch the rock?
13.
And that's with your +3?
I believe it adds it naturally to her scores.
Yeah, so I think if you hover over or like click the thing, it shows you what the modifiers you get to it are.
So I think it's just already added because it's a +7. So I would assume that's already.
It's already in there. It says
Yeah,
plus
yeah.
3 saves. Yeah. Absolutely. So with a 13, you once again sort of feel like that wave of nausea come over you, and you also feel your sense of self kind of waver for just a moment. You know that you are strong enough in your identity that even just touching a rock won't fundamentally challenge your sense of being, but it's as if the house that you are on top of kind of like shakes a little bit. The house that you are on top of in the ground, like the ground kind of shakes a little bit. It's just kind of an unnerving feeling. You also do take a point of exhaustion. However, I will let you do a strength check before the exhaustion
Okay.
because you've got everybody else helping you.
18.
18, yeah. With a push and a heave on 3 at Eminence's count, all 3 of you lift, and the rock lifts up out of the ground and falls onto the back of the wagon and just kind of like rolls and
We did it!
rolls around a little bit.
What a good job, everyone.
The blanket is still kind of wrapped around it now, kind of tucked under a little bit, so you get the sense that you could pretty easily like fold the blanket in to completely close it in the blanket without too much trouble. But you now have the rock in the wagon and have the capacity to, if you want, leave this location. That said, we are going to go ahead and take a quick break and let everyone else figure out what they want to do. We're not going to give a time limit, so we'll be back when we're back. And have a good break, everybody. We'll see you in a minute.
Blam blam.
Blam blam, welcome blam back, everybody. Every time. Welcome back, everyone. We are back from our break, and the players have just loaded a rock onto a wagon. Congratulations.
That sounds so impressive when you say it like that.
Yeah.
What did we do today? We moved a rock. It took
Our
2 hours.
2 frontliners got a point of exhaustion each as they tried to lift a rock onto a wagon.
Yeah.
It's a
Very
magical rock, but still a rock.
I also like that I got the point of exhaustion from touching it, and you actually lifted it.
Yeah.
It's a rock.
It's fine.
But you could look at it. Bryn knew that she'd feel bad touching it, but she did it again anyway. It's
True.
like when the waitress brings your plate out and says, "Now don't touch it, it's hot." And you're like,
Right.
"All right." And as soon as their back is turned, you're like, "But how hot is it?"
Yeah. The day is still yours. It's probably about 12:40 in the afternoon. What would you like to do?
I'd imagine we head off towards Satine, right? And the graveyard.
Hitch Arden up to the cart and start slowly trailing away towards
Okay.
Satine's place.
Goodbye, Jonna, I guess.
She's doing her
Goodbye,
thing.
Mitch.
She'll be fine.
Yeah.
Nobody else wanted to take her with us.
We have her
Yeah.
contract, right? And we know that she's preparing to leave.
Yes.
So, like, everything seems to be... and she's going a different direction to us anyway, isn't she?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Just quickly, you reminded me because I forgot the contract. Is it actually a contract or is it rock-addled nonsense?
Yes. So
Pull it out then and show it to you.
absolutely, you pull out the contract and take a look at it. It is like a well-written contract that basically says, I want access. I want my notes to be respected and relevant. And I also want quote unquote ownership right, even if I do not technically own it at the time, in excess of like extremely exacerbating circumstances. It seems to be fairly comprehensive in that it is very clear in how it is communicated.
Okay, I'm cool with that. So if we take the rock to this city and everything goes really bad, she owns the rock and it's totally not our fault.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that interpretation.
True. I mean, Natalie doesn't say that, but true.
Yeah, so the 5 of you set off, and unless there are any complaints, I would like to time skip forward a couple of days as
that.
you arrive towards the Forest of Statues, where Satine is located. I will say that after the first night, the 5 of you that slept and set up camp, those of you who did not have exhaustion gained a point of exhaustion, and those of you who did have exhaustion did not gain another but did not lose another.
Okay.
And this is due to being into proximity of the rock. And by that probably slowed you down for like half a day or a day. And immediately the next following night, you were like, hey, let's not sleep next to this thing. And I imagine you moved it off to a different location and actually slept.
Do we lose a max hit point like we did last time? Or was that only for the first night?
Yeah, that was for the first night. That was
Okay.
just for sleeping in proximity to it. For the second night, it escalated into exhaustion. And then the third night, I imagine you got it away from you enough
Yeah.
to actually get some rest.
Someone
Bryn
tries
would
to steal our rock.
yeah, good luck to them.
Fuck them.
Bryn would have just one little thing that she would have done before leaving is because she, of the point of exhaustion, she wouldn't have removed any of the nails, but she would have gone to the big tree and been like, hey, we'll send people to come. We know that there's more to do here. We're gonna send people back to get rid of the nails, kind of thing.
You probably, as you said that, you probably saw a family of 4 birds fly up pretty high into the tree and seem to settle in a nest as you tell this to the tree. So it is I would say it's probably about 11 o'clock in the morning. You've gotten another night's rest. For the purposes of travel, we'll say that it was about 4 days to head out with the wagon, because you had to get the wagon around trees and around different paths. Just it took a little longer, and you had that day of exhaustion that seemed to have slowed you down a bit. So 3 days into the deep wood, into the heart of the deep wood, and 4 days out. But it is 11 o'clock in the morning, and you find yourself on a familiar, well-worn path. The trees around you, closer towards the edge of the deep wood, it is more densely forested than when you left. There are more trees here. There is more vegetation. There is more greenery. The further away from the center of the deep wood, the less there is that sort of ethereal nature to the air. And you do also spot more wildlife, more birds.
What does it smell like?
Squirrels and rabbits. You get less and less smells of mint as you travel further and further away.
As there should be.
Yes. I also want to mention, I think during the recap, I said that you went into the Shadowfell. You did not go into the Shadowfell. You went into the Feywild.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, but I think the confusion is that this plane, there's talk of it being on the cusp, in the forest. There's points where it's thin between both realms, isn't it? But we went to the Feywild, not Shadowfell.
Because the Feywild is the mint, right? No. Yes.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Because we didn't smell mint when we went into the thingy.
But we did see something. Did one of us have something that we saw something Raven-esque, though, at the same time? We didn't go into the Shadowfell, but I remember distinctly there was something.
Wasn't that when we were fighting near the end?
Yes.
Which
was when you guys fell in the hole that didn't end until you came back.
There was a raven that just observed.
Yeah.
Landed on a tree and just looked at you guys.
Yeah. Those noted.
Sneaky.
Any sign of treants as well as we're making our way out? Do we see any movement of guardians or anything?
I'll say make. Well, if one of those days is with exhaustion, make 3 perception checks.
Okay.
May I perceive also?
Yes.
Wonderful.
3.
I would not.
17, 22, and 6.
19, 14, 22.
Yeah. So on the first day, Bryn, you do not see anything. You also are exhausted. On the second day, Aery, you and Bryn both see at like a large distance away. There is a tree walking back towards the heart of the deep wood. Probably like 200 meters, like just barely getting glimpses of it through the foliage in the distance, but it is a tree walking back, and it doesn't seem to acknowledge your presence as it moves past.
Okay. That can I don't suppose we can tell if it like obviously it doesn't acknowledge us, but
You can insight
does it
check.
look feral? Oh yeah, I'll insight check it.
Bryn, I think.
18.
And
Okay.
24.
Yikes. Yeah, so the tree that you fought moved with like swift purpose and intent to do harm. It was very clearly like driven. This walk seems like a much more leisurely, relaxed, comfortable pace from what you can tell. It doesn't quite have like the driving force that the other one did. Whether that is for good or bad, nobody can say. Unless you want to get closer and try to chase
Yeah.
down.
Do you want to try and talk to this tree? It doesn't look at least feral like the other one did, but I don't know if that means it will be our friend.
I mean, the fact that it's heading back towards the center of the forest is probably a good sign.
But do we want to bother it?
I did want to try and talk to one, but it's a fair way away. I think that the sooner we can be rid of this rock, the better.
Yeah, I really want to try, but I also don't want to like disturb them.
I mean, we can keep an eye out from the forest of statues. We can keep an eye out going back to Valater.
Oh yeah, maybe if there's one nearby, maybe one of them will see us and be like, I want to talk to those guys.
I think that we should definitely, though, pass this on to Silence or whoever we ask to send people in to remove the rest of the nails, because if they do have guardians that are going back to the center of the forest, that could cause some combat potentially, which we would want to avoid.
Yeah, maybe. Also, I don't want them to ask us questions about the other one if they know about it.
That's true. For now, I think we should just probably. It seems to be having like a good time, a very leisurely pace. It doesn't seem,
Yeah,
at the
it's
very least,
really
angry.
just chilling out, huh? Having a nice
So
time.
maybe we should focus on getting this rock. I feel kind of shit, and sleeping didn't make me feel less shit. So
Okay, yeah, let's get rid of this stupid rock. Then we'll see how we go.
Yeah, it is about 11:30 in the morning as you walk up the now familiar path up to the Forest of Statues, where Satine lives. You see that there are probably about 5 or 6 people in the amidst the statues themselves, and it seems like there are 2 sort of single individuals and then 2 couples, and the 2 single individuals are sort of in front of their own pairs of statues, and one of the couples is just kind of walking and talking, enjoying the ambiance, and another one of the couples are standing and having a conversation in front of another statue. But you find Satine relatively easily as she is going around with a very large, almost comically large feather duster. And she is just sort of trying to like reach the tops of some of these statues to sort of try to dust them off and keep them clean. But she kind of stops and notices your approach as you come back up the path. I imagine you leave the wagon. You don't try to take the wagon like into the garden.
I wouldn't think so, because Arden's dragging it. I think we'd have it a little way away, and Bryn would unhitch Arden so Arden can get away from the rock as well.
Gotcha. Yeah, yeah.
I mean, anyone would get bad vibes approaching the rock, so hopefully they just won't.
Yeah. Yeah, she sees the rest of you approach. Well, look who is back. It is so nice to see all of you. How was everything?
Kind of crazy, actually. Al, I opened the wrong screen again. Oh, the sunlight!
Yeah, careful. There's like a really big, just like hole of sun, just like right.
Yeah, I just like walked straight into it. Oh my god. Yeah. Okay, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, we what you sent us to see why the trees were being lit. I think we figured it out. Well,
spectacular.
Maybe Bryn should tell you. I think she understood it more. And I have a headache now. I'm dazed.
Oh, yes. Oh, so we have what we thought was the stem of the cause of it. So the trees were really not happy because there's like a giant like guardian tree right at the center, and a rock fell from the sky, embedded itself into the side of the tree, grew into it, which crossed between planes of existence into the Feywilds. The tree opened up and we went into the Feywilds through the tree and then killed this thing on the other side. And then we came back and there were these tiny people with red hats that grew out of mushrooms that had iron feet that we cut off and took out of the Feywilds and brought back into this side. But then turns out they could go from the Feywilds through the mushrooms. And then we brought this rock. The rock made us feel like a piece of shit, but then we saw guardian trees walking back towards the big tree in the middle, and then trees started coming back. Oh, there were also hissed trees that were nailed down, which we started taking away, but then some of them got angry when we were in the Feywilds and tried to attack us, so then we didn't attack them back. We just kind of like, hey, I'm gonna leave, you seem upset, and then we came back, and then they didn't follow us, but they probably would have killed us if we'd stayed, but then we came back and it was fine.
You told them about the angry red men, right?
Yeah, the ones that grew out of mushrooms that we cut their feet off.
Yeah.
Yep. Wow. That's...
To be like concise with what we did.
Yeah, like I said, kind of crazy, huh?
These little red men, you said they came out where the mushrooms are? Are you sure?
They were mushrooms, and then they grew into men. Maybe.
And then we burnt them and nothing happened. They just kind of burnt and disintegrated.
Yes. That makes sense. So, and iron boots, you're sure?
Yes. We cut them.
Oh,
actually,
right?
I think we did have a pair of them still.
We should have 3, I think.
I don't know. I think we probably would have only brought 1. We probably didn't need to bring all of them.
But I think we picked them up though because weren't we going to get them out of the forest because they were going to hurt the trees?
Oh yeah, we did. So we probably would have. Okay, Bryn will go over and avoid the rock and get a pair and be like, they kind of smell now because the feet are like fused into there. Like we cut their feet off because we couldn't get them off, and their feet are in there and they're kind of going rotten now. So it smells. I'm sorry about that, but yeah, this is the feet.
That is. She kind of takes it, and it's a little large for her smaller figure, but looks around at it. Yeah, this seems like a red cap. Yeah, that's quite tragic. Red caps. They are fey creatures born out of bloodlust. Where the Feywild is close to the material plane, if a sentient creature acts in such a way or has an intense desire for bloodshed, red caps can appear nearby to attempt to
Pardon me, what?
integrate that. Um,
So we met a lady in the woods. She seemed fine, though. I don't think that she was trying to create enormous bloodshed.
Wouldn't it
That
be
I
nice
know
if we had a way of checking?
What do you mean?
I mean, if she was still with us, hypothetically.
Brought her with us, and someone could check her out.
If what she wants is bloodshed, maybe she would have killed us. Maybe we all survive only because we sent her away.
But who else is going to die now?
Not our problem.
But Satine didn't say that the intent to kill had to come from a humanoid necessarily. The trees were pretty angry.
Growing outside her house.
it is tough to say without examining the situation a bit more. The red caps are less like actual people and more like a force of nature. In that sort of situation, it can be hard to determine what exactly can cause this situation. And you talked about this stone making things weird. Maybe
Oh
that
yeah,
had
we have it in the wagon.
Oh, do you mind if I take a look?
Yeah, have a look. Don't touch it because it makes you want to like throw up a lot,
it makes
and
you
then it makes you feel like even if you didn't, that you did for hours, and you don't feel like doing anything else for the rest of the day.
Oh, that seems very unpleasant. And she kind of goes over to the wagon and kind of props herself up on one of the wheels and peers over. It's still covered by the blanket, and she reaches over to the blanket and just kind of peeks under. Oh, well, that's a pretty looking rock.
Yeah, it fell from the sky.
It's evil.
Yeah, as she kind of drops the blanket down, you can see that she kind of blinks a little bit. Yeah, I kind of feel that a little bit. From the sky, that's interesting. And you've brought it here. That's very good. Do you think that this rock was causing whatever trouble there was in the deep wood? Do you think that this one rock could do all that?
Yeah, well, so when it hit the tree, it like hit the ground near it, but then the impact it like dragged, like it went all the way to the base of the tree, and there were these like gray, like white and black veins that grew out of the rock all over this tree, like the big tree in the middle. And then when we went, the tree opened up and we went into the tree, into the Feywilds. The veins were on the inside and they started disintegrating after Natalie gave it what for.
Well, okay. Well, this tree sounds like it wasn't particularly happy with the rock being nearby, and if the rock can change things and affect things around it, maybe it was affecting this tree in some way so as to, I don't know, scare the trees away from the deep wood or cause the treants to react aggressively. Who knows? Anything could have happened. Thank you. I will say that about 3 or so days ago, maybe 3.5, the trees in Valetaire came back to the deep wood.
Oh, that's good.
And in addition, the deep wood itself has been more populated. There have been more trees, more plants and animals living within the wood. So it seems like whatever you did has worked.
Yeah, like Aery said, it's definitely an evil rock.
Yeah, super bad rock.
It is interesting. I don't necessarily know if it's evil, but it's doing something. I
Something
wonder
evil?
well, just because winter kills plants doesn't necessarily mean it's evil. It's just something that happens. So
That is true.
I have to wonder if this rock is actually evil or it just is and things are happening
Maybe
around
it
it.
seems to make everything really angry, though. I think usually good things don't make a whole forest really angry and then like teleport into the middle of a city and try and run away from it.
Well, yes, that stands for itself. And this was the only rock. There were no shards or pieces or anything.
Not that
Maybe
you could
like
So I hope
find.
not.
We
okay.
did, like I said, the red caps that were nearby that were populating once whatever caused them to appear happened. They were using iron nails to nail down old trees.
Yes. Well, that sounds like um a primitive solution to a terrible problem. If the trees are running away and they wanted the trees to stay there for whatever reason, iron is particularly painful to fey creatures. And if
Mm,
these trees are somewhat linked or perhaps even fey inspired, it's possible that the iron nails were a way to try to hold them there for whatever
mm.
purpose. I don't know.
We did notice, so Oriana destroyed, there was like a heart on the Fey side that she destroyed with magic, that it did seem to lessen the effects of this rock.
Interesting. Do you have that heart?
No, it was destroyed to get rid of the tendrils that were wrapping around the tree.
Uh-huh, I see. Well, that's quite impressive. I would love to know more, but I it seems as if that's all we can know.
Well, that's why we brought you the rock, because you were like really invested in what was happening.
You want to give me the rock?
Yeah, there's this lady that wants to come back and study it as well. She was like visitation rights or something. She was kind of obsessed with it, but then when we killed the core of the red cap, she was less obsessed with it and more just like scientifically interested with it.
Bryn, weren't we going to give the rock to like the people that we work for?
Well, we haven't heard back from them. They can pick it up from here, but Satine seems invested. I thought we were going to give her to look at it for a while as well, unless we wanted to keep it with us until we hear back.
What
Sorry,
if it makes her evil?
the rock made the woman weird?
Yeah, that's like fucking
yeah.
with their head.
Yeah, she was all like strung out and like in love with the rock. It was really weird.
Completely
And you want to
obsessed.
give it to me?
Yeah, that's why I think
not
that
exactly.
maybe we shouldn't.
Maybe I could just hide it somewhere.
I don't think you want to be near this thing.
I think
Where are we going to keep it until we know what we're doing with it?
Well, I have a very good place for things that need to be hidden.
Yeah, remember what we saw? Like the place that, we didn't see, but then we did see it?
yeah. But I'm just so worried. What if like this is such an important place? What if everything goes wrong here and then it ends up all like
That
fucked up?
is-
What
that
if all
is-
the statues
That
disappear?
is true.
I do have the capacity to cast that magic on a larger scale. A smaller scale. And while I will need to maintain it every day, I can take it someplace away from the forest of statues and any potential passerbys and set up this protection for it.
If you would be happy to do that, it would be pretty good. I guess like that would be useful. It seems like a lot of work though.
It's not so bad. And she looks at the enormous feather duster and then just the field of statues decorated around her. It's one more thing to add to the list.
I suppose. Well, yeah, if you'd be happy to do that, that would be awesome. I suppose if the people we do ask for come to pick it up, will they just be like, hey, remember that rock? Time to give it to us.
Yes, I think if we had some sort of code word or validation so I know I was handing it to the right people.
Oh.
What if they said they were picking it up on behalf of, and Bryn will turn and huddle everyone together. Aren't they team I? Can we not to say on behalf of?
Collecting an item for
What-
Team I, that makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah,
something like that. That's
It's specific
I mean,
enough that
who
if
else
someone
would
finds
know
out
about
our
Team I?
employer, it's not going to matter, but they're going to know less about our team.
We should
What we
also
need
think of
a-
a team
we
name
need a-
starting an I at some point. That's could be pretty cool.
Imbeciles.
That fits very well.
No one wants to call themselves imbeciles. It does make sense.
Well, and that's who's
There's a
going to say
reason
I'm.
to call themselves the imbecile.
Can you imagine waiting for our big fancy employer to come here and we're here to pick up an item on behalf of the imbeciles?
I'm not certain if we named ourselves that, we would still have an employer.
I would
Look,
prefer not to be
it's
known
a
as
strong
that.
password.
Is it though?
Safari might agree.
If the password is chocolatiers, we like.
We do like chocolate.
Do we-
like chocolate?
Oh, well then, why don't we say we're here to pick up a box of chocolates?
That's
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
do you
like
think
that.
anyone would, Aery will ask, do you think anyone would come to you to pick up chocolate for any reason?
Not in recent memory.
Yes. Then they can come to pick up a box of chocolate for you.
So then,
Really,
you
it
know,
will be the orb.
so if someone comes to you and says, "I'm here to pick up a box of chocolates," then you know they're here to pick up the rock.
Is there a specific type of chocolate, or just
99% cocoa ratio to dark chocolate. No, I think just a box of chocolate.
Because almost nobody wants that.
Almost.
No.
99% of people don't want
I said
that.
almost for a reason.
I think I'll just stick with the chocolates then. That's good. Yes. I think I'm gonna have some difficulty moving the cart on my own.
No, we can help
know
before
that-
we go.
Yes. Let's do that now.
Prince is gonna go up to Up and say, "I'm so sorry. I know it sucks, and that you don't like dragging the cart with the rock in it."
Arden, you get the impression that he's unhappy because it makes him poop funny.
It's just pats is makes us all poop funny. Don't worry.
He just kind of. Yeah, and you re-hitch him back up. Satine takes the big old feather duster, walks up to a statue, reaches up a little bit and kind of puts it behind the ear of one of the statues. So there's a statue of just a high elf man, holding a book with this massive feather coming out from behind his ear. Yeah, and she leads you probably about 10 minutes away from the forest of statues, heading a little bit further into the deep wood. And pretty far off of the path. By the time she finally stops, you cannot see the path. You cannot see the statues themselves. You're a good distance off. She says, I think this will be good. If everyone will get clear. And she kind of pops her knuckles a little bit.
We absolutely stand clear.
She holds out her hands and begins to cast a spell, but okay. You see almost like a curtain being drawn, just this transparent wave of invisibility just sort of slowly encircle around the wagon as if it's not even there. And the wagon fully disappears, and she kind of claps her hands, puts her hands on her hips, and turns around. Okay, I think that'll hold. And as she says that, the rest of you see that similar shimmering iridescence as the curtain of this image of the rest of the forest around the wagon kind of wavers a little bit, and then once again goes back to being fully invisible. And then a moment later, it kind of ripples and wavers once again, and looking through, you can like look at a tree and see it on the other side, but then the middle of the tree kind of like warps a little bit.
Wow, that's so weird. And Harry was like, like, look at someone go over the other side. They want to see what it looks like.
Um,
Then we'll go over the other side.
Yeah,
Is it like,
just like
is it like
toys.
a magic mirror sort of like makes
yeah,
highlights
yeah.
really
So it like looks normal, and then it kind of like wavers a little bit. And Satine at this point turns around and takes a look and, it's not supposed to do that.
The rock is very magical.
Yeah, that is interesting.
I'm not certain we mentioned it, but it did distort some of our magic earlier.
Well,
Bryn's just like, it distorted your magic? What? Holy shit!
Bryn, you look so funny. Your legs are so short right now. You're all wobbly.
that's something I guess to be conscious of. I think as much as I am loath to do it, I will spend a little bit of time with this stone just to make sure that this image of invisibility holds and that it doesn't slip away.
If you start to feel like foggy or weird or like you want to kiss the rock, like you're in love with it, please don't spend any more time with it. It will make you fully crazy.
I will be sure not to do that. Thank you for
Oh.
letting me know.
Something to be aware of as well. When I touched it, if you're mentally prepared, it may help. But if you have a very strong sense of self before interacting with it, when I touched it, it was like actively my memory of kind of my identity, who I am, was trying to be like drawn out or erased.
That doesn't sound very good.
I mean, I was fine when I let go of the rock, but
Yeah, I think I'll just try not to touch it and keep other things from touching it.
I really love that this woman has now accepted custody of the rock, and now we're telling her all the really bad shit that happened. Like, I, as a player, didn't think, oh yeah, we missed some important information, but we kind of missed like some of the most important information in our recap.
Yeah.
We did tell her it was evil.
That's okay. I will be able to manage, and if I ever have any trouble, I will contact the rest of you.
Wonderful.
Well, thank you for telling me all of this. You have been instrumental in helping us figure out whatever is going on here.
Yes, that was our side of the deal, wasn't it?
It was.
You going to tell us about that weird statue?
I think fair is fair. Shall we go take a look at it?
Yes.
Yeah. And she walks back to the Forest of Statues and then off sort of side a little ways to the addendum that she had hidden. And she kind of waits a little bit for the people who are in... You all right? Burn yourself
I
on
was
the...
just, yeah. I actually picked up the tea and I was like, I need a yawn. I also said yearning, and I don't know why I said that, but that's fine.
Yearning for coffee when you're drinking tea.
Yeah.
You know why you yearn.
Yes. She leads you over to the little addendum where she keeps the more monstrous races and waits for the sort of pedestrians within the Forest of Statue to look the other way before she just kind of takes a step back and vanishes, sort of beckoning for the rest of you to do the same.
you do the same.
Do the
Yeah.
same.
And stepping in once again, you see hobgoblins and orcs and trolls. There's a very, very large ogre sort of in the center. You see a very like smooth-skinned, neutral-faced doppelganger with sort of very wide, like alien eyes. Whole varieties of people that have been buried here, and still in sort of underneath this massive ogre is the statue of the king, still in sort of like fine robes with a sword at his hilt, looking very similar to the paintings that you saw in the central keep of Valater. Yes, this is the king, as far as I can tell. To be completely honest, I don't fully remember what I told you a week ago, but
God, it's been a long week though, huh?
it feels like months. When someone is buried here within the Forest of Statues, they take whatever form is natural to them. So, for example, we have several doppelgangers. They don't keep the form that they died in when they are buried here. They
Oh.
revert back to their original form, which leads me to believe that this statue is what it appears to be. In addition, I did not see the body. However, I accepted a small stimulus from, who is it?
If you say silence, I will scream. He's looking it up, so it can't be him.
I'm furiously scrolling through the pages. Cassius Tord.
Brutus.
Do we know that name?
Yeah.
Make a history check.
I feel like it.
Cassius
Sounds-
Tortoise, did you say?
Cassius Tord. Twoord.
I would have liked it if you.
12?
12? Doesn't sound
Ugh.
familiar.
Well, shit.
Hey, I got a 12 as well.
Wait, we're all doing it, yeah? Sorry, I just needed to.
Sure.
I was writing
Family
furiously.
Yeah.
Fucking another 2! I hate D&D
None
Beyond.
of us are gonna remember.
Nope.
I think you're muted, Emmy.
Sorry, that was a 7 for me, so.
So, gotcha. Cassius is one of the higher ranking members of the wait staff to the king. Now,
Wait, what?
I find it very odd that Cassius would bring a body, ask me to bury it, and pay for the burial without allowing me to identify the corpse, and then and asking me to hide the statue.
Yeah, that's.
So,
I mean, about as suspicious as you can possibly be.
forgive me, he brought you a corpse. You buried it, having never managed to see it.
It was wrapped, yes.
Is it?
And then the statue of the king appeared, and you thought, I'll just not tell anyone about this.
He made it clear that managing this statue was both reward and punishment.
Because now you are involved in whatever conspiracy is going on.
Presumably that's why he didn't allow me to look at the body before burying it.
Is it a widely known fact that the statues would revert to their natural state?
I
Like
think it is
they-
assumed. It is well. There aren't many things that are well understood about this particular part of the forest, like why the statues come up here and why this place even exists in the first place. But of the humans and elves and half-elves and half-orcs and dragonborn and goblins and gnomes and halflings, there isn't a lot of shape changing that goes on here. 95 times out of 100, when I bury a body, it comes out the same way it went in. The few times it don't are usually cosmetic, hair or height or something else. To be something else completely is a fairly well-kept secret.
Do we?
So do you think that if... Oh, no, you go.
I was just going to ask, do you know much about the royalty in Valtaire?
Well... DM is checking notes.
Or even how they run their house. I mean, when we went through, everyone seemed fairly happy as far as, citizens wise and such, but do we know much about their house? My immediate thought of a member of their staff rising up is to think an uprising.
Generally, the king has been good and effective. He has been prone to bouts of sickness over the past, I don't know, few months. I know that his father, George, and Isabella are buried here. They are present. Oh, are you okay, Mel? Do you want to hop away?
Yeah, I have to go. I was just going to say, if you need a second to rearrange cameras, very sorry.
Yeah, no worries. Things come up. That's
No
fine.
worries.
Ooh, bye.
Yes. Yeah, so we're probably only going to go on for like a little bit more.
So good.
Yes, George and Isabella were the previous king and queen of Valtaire. They are buried here. Isabella died 12 years ago, 15 years ago. I don't remember exactly when, but it has been quite some time.
And she's buried here, right? You showed us her.
Yes, she is here.
Right.
In next to Isabella is George, who died only a few years ago, about, I don't know, 4 or 5. But also not buried here is the king's younger brother. When they were children, the king's younger brother died of illness, leaving just the one.
But he's
but that
not
was
buried here.
That was
as a
10 years ago,
child.
wasn't it?
no, that was
yeah.
that must have been, yeah, I think 10 sounds about
Do
right.
you know why he wasn't buried here if the rest of his family is?
No,
No.
the body was never brought to me, so maybe they tried resurrection magic or something. I don't.
So
It's
if someone tries
customary.
resurrection, they can't
Sorry?
be buried?
Two different questions. Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
No. I didn't finish my question, so go with yours.
I was just asking if they've tried to resurrect someone, they can't be buried in the graveyard?
No, they can.
Oh, but do you mean maybe they were successful in resurrecting him?
Or they'd retain the body for purposes of resurrection?
That's
It's all
fucked up.
speculation. The body was never brought here.
But you're saying it's
So-
customary for royalty to be buried here, right?
Generally, yes. I actually didn't think too much of it until you just mentioned it now.
Very strange.
So there's a
That is
possibility
unusual.
that he could still be alive.
It's possible, but He has been dead for 10... No one has seen him.
I believe it's also a bit strange that we've been told that the king is still sick and that we should expect an audience when we return.
Yes, well, if there are known doppelgangers, I assume they don't get buried here if they don't want people to know what they are. But someone, I mean, the king is dead, right? Like, someone paid to have him put here.
Not necessarily someone, but Cassius.
Oh, well, yeah, that's what I mean. I guess, like, someone who is close to him, like, in his inner circle, knows that he's dead and tried to hide it. So if they say that we are going to see the king when we get back, who are we going to see? If the king is dead, it could, maybe it is his brother that they revived, or maybe it's a doppelganger completely, but we know it can't be him.
Or lizard people, apparently. That's
Yes,
what everyone
I
keeps
like to
saying.
count the lizard people.
The lizard people is just it's like wolves in the sewer. It's just complete both.
Hell, maybe it's wolf people. I guess more
Maybe.
the point is that someone is posing as the king.
Yes.
It seemed to be that way. Sorry, I just am hung up on the fact that you buried a body, took a commission for it, and the next day a statue of the king appeared and you thought not to alert anyone? How much exactly did he pay you?
I'm not proud of where I am right now. I'm not proud of having to explain the situation to you. To be completely honest, this is a little out of my depth, and I was afraid of trying to kick up a fuss about this. I just want to help this forest and these people and the dead to get the respect that they need.
I understand. I mean, someone who is higher than the king, right? No one. Then his inner circle come to you and they have killed him. Who would you even complain to? Normal people won't believe you, and you can't bring it to, like, anyone in power because they either know or they're in on it, you know? Like, what? I understand that you didn't say anything. I don't think that you could have said anything if you wanted to.
Also, could I insight check that explanation she just gave?
Absolutely, yeah.
That's a hot 2, so 4.
She seems to be telling the truth, as much as you can tell.
Satine.
Yes.
You said you didn't tell anyone, right?
Well, yes.
And this Cassius came and paid you, they were the only ones there?
Yes.
Then how did we know it was here?
Well, I don't know. How did you know?
We were told that we were employed to find this statue and find out what happened with it. How would we possibly have been employed to do that if you didn't tell anyone? Do you have any idea how that could have happened?
I didn't tell anyone. I didn't want this to get out.
I understand, and I'm not necessarily accusing you of anything, but I mean, is it possible that there is someone that has access to this place that isn't just you?
It's possible. I mean, we just walk through the illusion. There's no physical barrier.
And people would come back to see their loved ones here, right? They pay to have them be here.
In the general area, yes.
Do you have a visitor's log for this area in particular?
For this one, no. We haven't had any visitors here for probably about a year and a half.
Okay, so you don't know anyone that's been in here. Except, obviously, Cassius when he brought the body to you.
Is this something that you can detect? Like, if when we entered here, you could feel that someone had crossed the threshold into the spot?
Maybe. And she kind of walks over towards the illusion barrier.
Is there any chance also, just for that particular question, I want to insight check that she is, like, she seems like she's trying to work something out. She's not buying some time to think up a better story. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Insight check.
Okay. Oh, that was a 17. That's rude. It's not like the worst.
She appears to be telling the truth as far as you can tell.
Okay.
Yeah, she kind of goes over to the barrier a little bit. And you can see that she kind of puts her hands behind her back and like leans and starts looking. And every now and again kind of reaches around, pulls like a single blade of grass out of the way and kind of like peers in a little bit and goes over. And for probably about 3 or 4 minutes, she does this before. Oh. And she gets a little closer and kind of pulls some more of the grass out of the way. This isn't my boot.
It's not ours either?
And she kind of motions for the rest of you to come over.
Cinderella time.
And yeah, she kind of Cinderella's it. She has each of you kind of one by one walk over and put your boot there. And very... Oh, I hear a cat.
Gives me time to write more notes.
My cat has only just recently learned that if he scratches at the door and meows, I'll open it, which is not something that I should do, but I don't. He just gets loud.
The cat's
Yes. Yeah, so one by one you kind of go through the boots, and it is not any of you. It is not hers. It appears to be a little larger, almost as if it would go on the foot of a man. But it is also like a solid core work boot. Not like leather or anything like that. It is like a hard-working like business boot.
And I'm obviously assuming that she knows that it's not Cassius's boot or anything. Like, she's not confusing that.
Yes, yeah. She makes it. She says, "Cassius brought me the body to my home,
Right.
very late at night. So I don't think he even knows about this place. Do I hear a cat? What is that?"
We all know this routine well.
Just to refresh...
Oh, sorry. No, go ahead.
Just to refresh the timeline as well. So if we found out about this 2 weeks ago, this was maybe a month ago, roughly, that this happened?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
I was just going to ask, when you say male boot, like human male?
It's a larger boot that, I mean, I say presumably male. It could be a very large woman.
Yeah.
It's just a large working boot.
Do we get the feeling that it is a medium creature?
Approximately medium-sized creature.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Maybe DM gave away too much information.
Maybe.
Or he's trying to trick us.
Only one way to find out. I actually did DM slip like a major plot point in one of my campaigns. The players were like, "What do we do next? We've got all of these ideas." And I was like, "Actually, you forgot one. The werewolves up north." And they were like,
"Oh,
there are werewolves up north?"
There are werewolves up north? And I was like, "Ah,
shit." No, of course not.
We've all done that. It's fine.
Yeah. So again, Cassius came over to her house.
Yep.
To drop off the body.
Okay. Interesting.
Yes, she finds this boot print. She kind of follows it a little ways into the mirage and then loses it amidst her own footprints, along with those of now more recently your own.
Are we able to track it as players? Like maybe a couple of us?
Make a nature check with disadvantage.
Or would it be survival?
But is tracking not survival?
Make a survival check with disadvantage.
How do I do disadvantage
is
with
also
the
gonna
rolling
give it a
thing?
go.
Do I just roll it twice?
You just roll twice and take the lower, I think.
I don't know that I actually rolled twice. It's not going to be good regardless.
So, Natalie, I see you're rolling survival. You got a 9. And Emmy's rolling twice with a 14.
Are we all doing this? Or just people that are like proficient in it?
Aery,
I guess whoever's looking.
Emmy has a
I would say
negative 1,
people are-
but she still gave it a go.
I would say
have-
people who are proficient can roll
Yeah, because
survival.
I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
good,
yeah,
but I'm
yeah.
not proficient.
Ah.
I
have,
imagine
like, a
Emmy's
pretty good
still trying.
modifier, but
This is the one that you
Emmy's-
probably...
Yeah.
Emmy
do it.
believes she's proficient in everything.
Apparently
so it's
she's-
always
Emmy's
valid
off,
for
like-
Emmy to make a roll.
Completely the wrong direction, like Sherlock Holmesing some shit.
she's
like,
following her
running
own
the
footprints
go-to.
back.
Yeah.
She's like, this
I'm-
ladybug is
Arden's
very
footprints.
suspicious.
I'm meant to be pretty
Where are you
good
going?
at survival, and I'm just rolling like absolute garbage. I have +4 and got a 9.
Well, yeah, I guess, yeah, 9. Yeah, no, you cannot trace it. It is at least a month or 2 old. It is beyond your capacity to follow this.
Fine.
How long ago did you bury this body? How long has it been here?
About a month, maybe a little
Okay.
more.
Wait, you just said that it was a month old.
The footprint.
If I had a zoom
footprint?
button right now, it'd be right in my eyes. I was gonna ask some
How
questions.
long ago? So we learnt about this about 3 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago,
roughly?
because we traveled to stay here.
Yeah, but so it
It's
was
only been a couple days.
but it was 2 weeks to get to Valater, and then there was 3 days to we spent a day. In
It's
the
been
forest.
A week. It's been
Yeah, and then there was 3 days. Yeah, and
Rotates.
then coming back here for a couple of days.
So we knew about it for 3 weeks. They probably would have known about it for more if they invited us with the intention of sending us on this mission.
Hmm.
So it probably
maybe
all coincides quite well.
Yeah, maybe they kind of knew when it happened.
So it was uncovered probably pretty soon after it happened.
However,
Well, if these footprints are a month old and the body or the statue is a month old, then kind of works out.
Mm. This is obviously assuming that Cassius never told anyone as well. Obviously, all of this.
How
perhaps he could have. I don't know.
how long did people say the king has been sick for? Has that just been a month, or has he been sick for a while? That's me asking, like, just in general, because I can't remember.
So the king is prone to bouts of sickness that seem to be seasonal.
Seasonal depression. Get it?
For perhaps about the past 4 years or so.
Interesting.
He will go several months and be fine, and then he will fall ill for a week at a time, and then bounce back.
Has he ever been sick for this long?
I understand he's only been sick for a few days this time, so I think this is a shorter.
Oh, I thought you
Duration.
just said he'd been sick for longer. My bad. My brain is scrambled eggs.
Yeah, that's fine. It's trying to get a lot of numbers to line up here.
Yeah.
When you received the body as well, I know that you didn't see it, but it seemed like a fresh body, right?
It was not very stinky.
Yes, it seemed to have. It wasn't bleeding, if that's what you're asking.
Okay. I'm just wondering if there was. This is a wild thought. I know next to nothing about magic, but if someone had been. Maybe I'm conspiracy theorying too much, but if someone had been resurrected, is there a chance that they suffer from some kind of periodical sickness that they need to refresh themselves? Or something like that?
I'm afraid I don't have significant knowledge of resurrection magic. As
Yeah.
far as I understand, when someone is resurrected, their physical body is exceptionally taxed. So basically, for the purposes of narrative, when someone is resurrected, they come back with like 4 levels of exhaustion. And they need to sleep off and recover all of their exhaustion, along with being healed from whatever killed them.
Yeah.
But as far as like diminishing effects, sometimes when people are resurrected, they're a little different. Maybe they saw something in the beyond that changed them.
Yeah.
Seasonal sickness.
Bit of a
maybe
leap,
could-
but like maybe.
yeah.
But if it is his brother we think that they are replacing him with, then maybe the sickness that he died from when he was young, he never fully recovered from?
That's it.
Follow-on
That
question
is-
to the
It's thoughts.
Well, yeah.
resurrection train of thought. Have you ever had a body from this forest be resurrected?
No.
So you don't
One
know
of-
what would hypothetically happen to a statue in that situation.
Well, the statues don't contain bones. They're still in the ground. I'm afraid we would need to dig them up, and by nature of how things are buried here, there are no coffins. So, while a body could theoretically be retrieved, I can't speak to its condition after a month of being buried.
Makes sense.
That's fair.
Makes sense.
It's we've coffins were tried and no statues came up, and it became sort of a cultural integration to return to the dirt.
It makes sense. Well, do you think can you think of anything else that might help us while we try and figure this all out, or is that kind of it?
That's I believe that's all I know. I'm not actively holding anything back this time.
No, that's okay. I was just, I don't know,
And
thinking if you
I-
could
I-
like rack your memory, just if there was like anything you think maybe.
Yeah, I do apologize for holding back last time. It was
I
largely.
mean, it's okay. You were
fear
threatened by that
started.
guy, so
It's also,
we
you know,
didn't know you could trust us.
you have a monarch in your graveyard who's not meant to be dead.
Yeah, that's
I'm
kind of a
still-
big deal.
That still makes me a little uncomfortable. I don't really clean here as much as I should since that has happened. I'll think about it. If anything else comes up, I'll let you know.
But you didn't see anyone around here that could possibly coincide with this footprint.
Nothing comes to mind.
Okay.
You did seem quite familiar with who Cassius was. It would be useful for us if you could describe him to us. What have you happen to know about the man?
Oh, Emmy, you're so
Well.
smart. You never would
Not
have
making that mistake for a fifth time.
Cassius. Am I going the right way or am I going the wrong way? What? I've got notes across like multiple pages and I keep flipping back and forth.
It's the point where you need like a wiki just to be like.
Yeah. For myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, Cassius, human. He is one of the higher wait staff for the Castle of Valater. Exceptionally well dressed. About, I don't know, 50s, maybe late 50s. 6 foot tall, regular build. He dresses fantastically for his age. I know that his style is generally considered a guideline of how things are going within the city. So
Interesting.
no facial hair.
And his demeanor when he brought you the body, did you find him intimidating, friendly?
He was perfectly perfunctory, as if it were... He understood that he was causing an inconvenience by coming to me at my home and asking me to bury this late at night. But it was still business, I think.
See.
He seemed to be a little conflicted, but not so much as to stop.
Mm. Interesting.
Yeah. Well, I guess we should leave you to it and try and figure this out. If we have any more questions, maybe we'll come and visit you again. Or we need to say hello to the rock or whatever. And please be very safe with it. It
I
could really mess
plan
you
on
up.
trying to keep my distance. I appreciate your warnings.
I did want to also ask, I don't know if this is something that you would be able to help with, but seeing as, and Bryn will gesture around at all the monstrous rice statues, if you had any connections with anyone that lived within the forest, I don't know if it would be safer sending someone that has a genuine concern of the well-being of the forest to remove the nails. We were going to recruit some assistance from people within Valater, but if there are people that kind of coexisted within the forest itself may react more welcoming towards them.
Yes. I think I have some people in mind who might be suitable for something like that. I think that's very doable. Yes.
It's woods, and Bryn will kind of recount how many trees that she suspected were nailed down because there were a shit ton of them, and it'll take a while. It's not an overnight unless you had a big party of people kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I think we can arrange something to take care of this. I have some connections. Yes. Well, thank you for your incredible work doing whatever you did. It is very much appreciated.
Thank you for holding
Thank you
the
for your
thing.
incredible work and finally telling us something of interest.
Eminence.
But she lied to us.
She didn't lie to us. She just withheld information and was open about withholding information and made a deal with us.
And now that I know that I can trust you, I feel much more comfortable telling you all of this and helping you in the future.
How
Isn't
nice.
trust lovely like that?
Very, very good.
Well, we were promised an audience with the king. I say perhaps it's time we visit the court again.
Yes, perhaps.
Just if you don't mind, do you mind if I just spend a second here? Is that okay, Satine? Can I have a bit of a look around?
Yes. Is there something specific you are looking for?
More for a personal reason. I just wanted to have a look at the people here. If you don't mind, I'll just have a walk.
Would you like some privacy for this?
No, not particularly. I just don't really know if I'll find anything. I just... Basically, she wants to look... she won't say this outwardly. She'll just kind of, wander off. But she is looking at the orcish and possibly even human statues for anyone that she might know or have met before.
Sure. Make an investigation check.
Oh, dokely. I nearly rolled intimidation. That's not right.
Mm-hmm.
Oh! Okay.
What's the damage?
It's a natural 20.
Natural 20.
Yeah.
Well, at least I'll be absolutely sure with whatever the answer is.
Yeah, so as you're kind of going through, you're trying to you're trying to be like subtle about like looking at the orcs. But that facade completely drops when you see an orc that you actually recognize, that you know from growing up.
Okay.
You recognize the large frame of Zhugan. Zuhgan.
Mm-hmm.
Zhugan was one of the blood riders of where's his name? I just had his name. Wutgarak.
Love that. And just for clarity, what would a blood rider mean? I'm guessing it's like inner circle, but that's an assumption.
Yeah. Like, you know the Dothraki from Game of Thrones, how they have like you are like my bloodkin, even though we're not like blood. It's kind of like a primitive version of that. A blood rider specifically was entrusted with enacting the chief's will outside of the tribe.
Okay.
So they were when the chief had things that they wanted to do that they couldn't physically be present for, and they couldn't trust anybody else, they would send a blood rider to handle it.
Like if they're going to a city, like a diplomat kind of thing, but obviously a lot more powerful.
So in some cases, they would send like a scout or a diplomat just to send a message. But if the diplomat had perhaps an ulterior motive to, in the dead of night, kill the chief of the other tribe, or if they had to find a child that had run away, or if they had to... so while the Blood Riders could be sent to do like menial tasks, they were usually saved for important things.
Right. I would imagine then seeing that like she was mostly before like just kind of a little bit curious, and now she's just stock still quiet, like her jaw is still and she's just staring at this thing and like arms crossed, like maybe like tapping her toes a little, but just looking at it. And then she'll... Oh, yes. Sorry. You lifted your thing and I was like, is that a hand?
Oh, me. I was like looking at Dawn, like, what did he do?
I'm filling out notes right now.
I would imagine that for like most of the time that the party has known Natalie, she's mostly had like a pretty good handle on her emotions. Like, you know, she's been pretty steadfast and pretty okay. But upon seeing this and that kind of like moment of adjusting to that, she just like finds something in front of his statue, whether that's like a small rock or something. And in a fit of absolute rage, literal rage, she will pelt that into the sky.
Into the sky.
Okay. Away from the statue. Like, turn away from it and just, like, pelt it.
Yeah. Is this within, like, vision of us? Or, because you seem to want to be left alone, so I assume that none of us followed you. But can we see you from where we are?
I'd imagine I maybe, like, grunted, you know? Like, did a little bit of a... like, you know.
The team, like, double-checked whether or not you wanted privacy for this, and you said, like, technically no, but she still did, like, the polite thing, like turning to everyone else and kind of like steering the group away. So maybe you're not like in immediate line of sight, but upon making a noise, I think everyone kind of looks over and sees you in a post throwing pose.
And yeah, she'll just start pacing. And she just like, she's kind of got like her hands up and just like, she's trying to calm herself down a little.
Satine looks at the rest of you. Is she all right?
I don't know.
I've never
Maybe
seen
we'll
her
go
like that.
check on her.
I think
I'm sure she's fine, and Eminence will kind of sort of wander away a little bit because she is very comfortable with emotional displays.
Emotions, what?
Aery, should we go up and check on her?
Maybe. I don't want to disturb her, but she seems pretty distressed.
Maybe if we approach and make sure that like we're obvious in our approach, so that gives her an opportunity to walk away if she doesn't want us to come up.
Yeah, I guess. Aery will walk with like big steps.
Just be like loud as possible.
Bryn's in half fight. She's already making a lot of noise.
And you absolutely do hear them approaching, so you have plenty of time to walk away or stay if you want.
I would imagine, like, upon hearing that, she'll kind of like, her head will like snap towards them, and she's like, "What?" But then, as soon as she's said it, it's like she's regained herself, and she like realizes who she's looking at, and it's kind of like, you know, like her shoulders relax a little. I'm sorry. I wasn't... I'm sorry.
It's okay. Are you alright? What happened? Did you find someone?
I did. Not a nice someone. So that's fine. I'll motion towards him. How do I say his name again? Sorry.
Zhugan.
Zhugan was... How do I put this? He was... I guess... He was pretty important from where I come from. Pretty...
Not nice.
Yeah, he wasn't very nice. I just wasn't expecting to find him here, and now he's here, and he was, I don't know if I've explained this before to any of you, but, I didn't just leave home. I was exiled.
Natalie, what for? Did he do it? Was it his fault?
And no, he didn't, but God, he's such a fuck.
Yeah, well, he's dead now and you're alive, so who's winning?
You're right. He worked for the guy, or he was very in cahoots with the guy that kicked me out. And
Will you tell us what happened, or you don't want to?
it's kind of complicated, and I know that we have places to go today. I actually would like to ask Satine some questions, maybe.
Okay, take as much time as you need, and if you need us, we're here.
Yeah.
We've had a big couple of weeks, a couple of extra days. Look, I'm sure however much time you would need to explain to us, if it's important to you, we're all ears.
Yeah, if it would make you feel better, no matter what happened, we're not going to judge you.
Thank you.
And Bryn will like gently kind of like outstretch her. Would you like a hug? I am wearing armor, so it may not be the most comfortable, but it is still on offer if you would like one.
And this should like smile. Like I would imagine that like she's not used to like physical touch as like a thing, but like, you know, craves it because, you know, that's people. And she just will, like, absolutely, like, give you a bit of a bear hug. Like, even, like, she hurts her arms a little on your armor, like they're pointing into her biceps and shit. But she'll just, like,
Aery will give
hold
a hug
you.
on top of both of them.
Yeah.
And Bryn will, like, at the embrace, she'll kind of do the, like, one hand on the back of the head, just kind of ruffle the hair and, like...
But you do feel that, like, she's still very, like, straight-backed and, like, just not all there. Like, thank you.
Eminence feels a real pang at watching the rest of her team embrace, but then quickly covers it not only to the outside world, but to herself with a look of disgust. And it's weak. It's fucking weak. And I'm glad I'm not there.
Oh.
Oriana seems to be looking at a bird.
Yeah.
That seems about right. It's like,
Right.
hey, not gonna ruin my day.
Yeah.
I like bird. But
Thank
we're
you.
here to talk as much as you need.
I kind of have a lot of pent-up energy. I think we should maybe keep moving. I just had a feeling that I needed to look around, and I'm kind of glad that I did, and I'm feeling a lot of things right now. I need to ask Satine some questions, most definitely. I'm going to go do that. And so, like, in, like, kind of, like, you know, not really sure how to exit the conversation, she'll just be like, yeet. But yeah, she just wants to ask, like, Satine, how long this particular statue has been there.
Sure. This one is, I believe, Jugath was the name that was given. Jugath was brought by one half-orc and one full-blood orc, and they wanted to commemorate Jugath's death. Apparently he died very honorably in attempting to wrestle a hill giant that was attempting to encroach on their tribe. Did not succeed, but he did break the hill giant's leg and it decided to leave.
Thank you. How long ago was that, by the way?
3 years was when the body was brought to me. I don't know the exact day of death.
I understand.
And you recognize Jugath was... Orcs aren't super intelligent, but
yeah.
Jugath was closer to brick than orc. In that someone would say do something and maybe mean it as, like, kind of a joke, and Jugath would be like, okay, and just go do it. And because he was an orc, more often than not, he could just fucking do it because he's massive. Do you think you had rough times with Jugath when you were growing up in the tribe?
I'd like to imagine that he probably, like, I just imagine that she would have been taught how to fight and things in a situation where, like, there would have been, like, these people would have been mentors to her, essentially. So, like, there would have been plenty of, like, sparring matches and stuff, and they would have absolutely egged on her rage in those situations.
Jugath was probably one of the people who was assigned to teach you, like, grappling, how to break out of a grapple. And I think that just by nature of his size and the fact that you were a child, I don't think you ever succeeded.
That does make sense.
and because it's Jugath, maybe there's a little animosity in that, because they would say, teach you how to get out of a grapple, and Jugath would hold you in a grapple for like 4 hours until he would finally get bored and be like, I'm going to go eat, and then just drop you and walk away.
It would have, really, the feeling of inadequacy is definitely there.
Yeah. So it may not have been deliberately malicious, but that's just how orcs are, and that is he did probably contribute a little bit to some of your background with your tribe.
I definitely, yeah. And also, for some, like, Natalie is more angry, I think, at the association to Woodcorrect than to him specifically. Just, he was a shit. It's fine.
Yeah.
But, they all were, really. So it's fine.
Even, like, looking at the statue, you can see that it's got, like, the big hunched shoulders, like the massive tusks coming out from the front. But even just looking at the statue, you can see the mark of Woodcorect underneath the chin in scar tissue in the statue.
That's like the way that they would have, like, yeah,
like marked, basically.
Yeah,
like he had to show subservience enough to allow someone to take a knife to his neck.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense. Would be how he'd do it. Shall we go? Sorry for that.
If you're ready.
Side event. I'm fine. I would like to go and maybe hit something on the way.
Alright,
I'm
I
sure
was
there would
going
be
to offer, but you can do the splitting of the firewood tonight. Does that sound good?
It sounds perfect. We're not that far from the city, right? It's like half a day from here.
Probably a little less, I think.
Oh, will we need to camp out?
Pretty close.
Or it's like what
No,
time is it?
you'll be able to make it back to the Golden Tankard by nightfall.
Okay,
yeah,
cool. So yeah.
As Bryn is like going out and like getting Arden ready, she'll like come back once the group is ready and just nudge Natalie and say, "You do know as well. You don't need to apologize if there's ever anything you need to take care of."
It's fine. I was really thrown. I wasn't expecting to find anything here. I was expecting to just walk around and see some people that, I could dream what their lives were like. My mum used to tell me stories when I was growing up of like all these great heroes and humans and orcs that were doing great things like my father did. And I was just expecting to just revel in the dream, not to have the nightmare come back.
Hero starts out as a normal person, Natalie. Right? What you helped us do with the tree, you helped save a whole forest.
I know that.
And a town.
Yeah, I know. There's that part of me that I can't let go. I wasn't always Natalie. I was his plaything, or not his. It's a whole story. We can talk about it over a fire sometime or something, I'm sure. Again, I'd just really like to get moving.
Well, if it's any consolation, whoever you were then, I'm glad we have you as you are now.
I'm glad to have you all.
And Bryn would like nudge her and start leading Arden down the path.
Oh.
Thank you again, Satine.
She's
really?
Yeah, sorry about that.
Just like watching this interaction, just like, oh, sorry.
You do work in a graveyard, probably used to really awkward conversations.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I know you have friends, but if you ever need someone to talk to, I've heard a lot of stories.
Everyone seems very willing to lend an ear, and I really appreciate that, honestly.
We love you, Natalie. You are a good person.
I know, I tend to work out my problems by hitting them. It's a new thing
There
to...
are other ways.
Are there?
Yeah, lots of them. Like so many other ways.
Brynjael would just like lean in. But if you ever want to like spa, hitting people, the goal.
Next watch, let's do it.
Just a peaceful watch. Just
like
wakes up everyone else fighting.
In Inquisition, when there's Iron Bull and he's like, "Arr!" and then they're like bashing him with a fucking plank on his chest, just like, "Arr!"
I'm just envisioning Emmy trying to like take part, but it would be like the Homer in the bath with Bart with the chair. What are you doing? I just wanted to be involved. I thought you guys liked physical education.
You'll have to teach me, Aery.
I can try.
Good. I'm looking forward to learning.
I don't know if you will like all of them, but we'll see what works. I'll give you some alternatives to just hitting things. Have you ever had a really long bath?
I don't know that I've ever had a... Well, I don't want to say I've never had a bath. I more just mean more than like a wash.
Well, we will start with that, I think.
At this point, Eminence like perks up from wherever she is.
Like, bath?
Aery, we simply must. I'm sure Askat had something in there. Is Askat the innkeeper?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure he can arrange something. We must.
Absolutely.
You haven't lived. Honestly, never had a bath.
Where?
A bath, Natalie, it's in the name. What do you think they do there?
I've washed in a river.
Yeah, that's not a bath. A bath is like a bath that you have inside a bath.
I imagine the four of you are having this conversation.
Oh yeah.
On the road, yeah.
Thanks, Nadine. Anyway. Yeah.
Let's speak here for the next half an hour, just like...
Yeah.
To be fair, that is what we do in real life when we say we're going to leave a place, but...
We're very good at it.
And so you make your way back towards Valetaire, talking about Baz and heading towards the Golden Tankard. The day is coming close to an end. It's probably getting close towards sunset when you finally make your way back into town. You get clear of the tree line. You can see that much of the chaos has subsided. The trees that were in the city have gone back into the wood. And as you start getting back towards like the cobbled path and the road back through the north of town, you enter sort of into the lumber district and back into the merchants district. And it's nice to hear people and talking and conversation and smell smells that aren't mint and forest and grass, and you smell baked bread, and you can hear children running about, laughing and having a grand time, and the sound of metal being hammered into different positions. And you start to move up towards like the merchants district, where things are a little bit more upscale, a little bit more manufactured, and you see these fine clothings and silks that would feel so good after all of the travel that you've been on, and perfumes and different spices for different foods. And Aery, you see yourself walking in the opposite direction.
I fucking knew it!
What looks to be like a very loose, like a fitted suit, but very like open collar, just kind of humming to themselves, walking towards you through the crowd. And as you see this, you're like staring. Their eyes kind of wander over and see yours, and then suddenly go wide, and they just freeze for a moment.
You're just like pointing, like, what the fuck?
The moment you start to move, they just bolt. They turn and run the other direction, and that's where we'll pick up next week.
Okay, I'm literally leaving a note at the bottom of my page so that when next week we pick up, it just says sprint.
You're gonna be like, what does sprint mean?
I have false Aery sprint, so hopefully that'll remind me.
I was literally thinking about this during the week. Because I remember that one guy was just like made a comment about me, and they're like, "How long have you been here?" I'm like, "Oh, just a few days." And then I was like, "There's no way." I was like, "There's no way someone could like think that Aery is another person. Like, there has to be a doppelganger."
I just got really excited writing Aery doppelganger. Wrote Aery. And just,
The whole time when you were describing things, Dom, I was like, "Where's the butt?"
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. I think that is a little bit of a rut. I think I should try to just like describe things and be like, and you make it back to the golden tanker. Good
No,
night.
I loved
Thanks. We'll be
that.
back
It's
next
great.
week,
It's
everybody.
good stuff.
It's like so good, but I think it's just like the player mentality of like everything's too pleasant and jovial.
Yeah, when's
What's
the other
going
foot
on?
gonna drop?
Perfect. Yeah. Yeah, so we're going to pick up next week with this. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. This has been fantastic. I'm glad that we finally got a chance to play and progress the storyline a little bit. We took a brief detour into the Deepwood, but now we're getting towards some narrative. That said, I have been Dominic, your DM. Let's go ahead and run through everyone and see what they do and where you can find more about them before we sign off for the evening. Bryn, if you would be so kind as to kick us off.
Goodbye, everyone. My name is Alishiera. I am a variety streamer. I stream Tuesday to Fridays, and sometimes extras, sometimes less. Hey, you know, life happens. But you can find me under Alishiera on any social media platform that I have.
Yes, and Eminence.
Bye, everybody. I've been Nicole. I played Eminence. I love character stuff and I love mysteries, so this was fun. Yeah, I don't have much in the way of like social media or anything like that, so I will see you here as soon as possible.
Excellent. Aery.
I'll also do a quick one for Mel, who plays Oriana. She's also a streamer. You can catch her. I'm not sure what her hours are at the moment, but she's very cool and she does really long streams, so you should be easily able to catch her.
She's coming back February. She's doing Monday, Tuesday, Friday mornings.
Definitely check her out.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I am Jimmy Okat. I play Aery. I do lots of art and stuff. I'm also a streamer. I usually stream Monday nights and Wednesdays and sometimes Fridays and sometimes none of those. But who knows? Yeah, if you would like to see more of my art, check me out on Twitter. That's where I post most of it, which is CatRoulette, but with a 3 instead of an E on the end.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. And Natalie. Yeah, February is tomorrow. Oh my god.
Oh fuck.
Yikes.
No.
Why?
No,
would you say that?
No.
We're 1/12 of the way through 2021.
Stop that.
No, that's
Stop it.
not allowed. No. How do I even? I don't.
Fucked up if true.
Nat, tell us about yourself.
I don't know how to talk about myself anymore because now I'm like, what? My life is a lie. Anyway, I'm BurrowsRed. I play Natalie. I am a Twitch streamer and also don't have a brain anymore. So I stream Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Currently playing The Witcher 3 and also Final Fantasy X because it's cool shit. I have a bullet journaling for Dungeons and Dragons series that actually is mostly with Natalie, so that's great. And I have an Etsy store.
Very
That's
cool
it.
Really
stickers.
cool stickers.
Super cute.
Valentine's
Very
Day is
cute.
coming up, and there's some incredibly cute Valentine's Day appropriate stickers, are there not?
And I believe
It's
I've seen a
like a love
preview of some
potion.
upcoming ones, and they're all very good. So keep an eye. Can you follow an Etsy store? I don't know. Figure it out.
You can
Do that.
favorite it. Is
Yeah.
Favorite this
Tab
Etsy
open.
store.
Check
Burrows
on in.
art.
Follow Burrows on all her socials so that when she posts updates of what new stickers are out, you can click the link and go and have a look.
As long as
Yeah.
you also make sure that you do it for everyone else. It's not allowed. You're not allowed to just do it for me. You have to do it for everyone.
Just
Everybody.
Burrows.
Yes, I have been Dom. I've been your dungeon master for this evening. Thank you so much for coming and enjoying our fantastic game. We will be back soon with the next episode. What's going to happen? I don't know.
Who can
I have
tell?
an idea.
I would hope you do.
Maybe you know a little bit.
Aery's about to throw hands.
Yeah, apparently.
Yes, and it won't hurt them at all.
Natalie, where are we going?
We're going to someone who is doing a Cold Down Under campaign. Apparently it begins again. I don't know if that means they're starting again, or it just means they're coming back from something. Regardless, new people, they're Australian, and they're streaming on a Sunday. So that's pretty cool.
Oh, good for them.
Ooh.
Good, well job done.
Good, well
everybody.
job done.
Good, well job done indeed.
Yes, listen, it's been a long night, and I'm still I'm not coughing as much, but it is tucking me out a bit. Yeah. I'm excited for next week. I thought this was a really good episode. Good job, everyone.
Good
Yes.
shit.
We're gonna do more good shit in the future. Bye, everybody. Are we going? Are we going now?
I
Is
don't
it
know.
happening?
Is it happening?
God. Ah!